Chat group, I obtained the Saiyan Bloodline from the start. Hello again, dear adventurers of the multiverse. Thanks for joining us once more on this epic journey. Remember, this story is pure science fiction from our wild imagination, so don't go trying to summon dragons in your backyard. The rights of this amazing novel belong entirely to its original author. We are only the narrators. Do you want more adventures? Show some love to our YouTube channel with a subscription and a like, and if you want exclusive content, our Patreon is waiting for you with open arms. Chapter 26 Flanders' Show of Strength. Huh? Why are all the Shrek Academy teachers here? Xiaoqi looked at the newcomers with a puzzled look. It seemed that yesterday's events had inadvertently changed the plot. Zhu Zhuqing no longer cared about Xiaoqi's recent bad-mouthing of her and stood silently beside him. Flanders, who was walking towards them, suddenly glanced at Xiaoqi and Zhu Zhuqing, a hint of amusement in his eyes. Xiaoqi noticed Flanders' gaze and sneered inwardly. So you're coming for us? I'd like to see what tricks you have in mind. Flanders and the teachers behind him stopped in front of the students. Flanders then spoke a few words of welcome and introduced all the teachers to the newcomers. He then asked everyone, except Zhu Zhuqing, to pay the tuition of 100 gold soul coins. Up to this point, everything had unfolded much as in the novel, but then Flanders suddenly changed his tone. Yesterday, Teacher Zhao took the initiative to impose unreasonable assessment requirements on the new students. I've already severely reprimanded him for this, but Shrek Academy is a monster academy, and our teaching methods differ from those of other ordinary academies. From now on, the four of you freshmen will form teams of 2 to conduct practical training, showing all the senior students and teachers your current strength. Of course, practical combat requires practical rules. Aside from not harming your opponent's life, you may use any fighting method. If any danger arises, we teachers will intervene promptly. The losing team will not be able to use spirit power to run 50 laps around the village. You have 10 minutes to prepare. As Flanders finished speaking, Tang San and Xiao Wu immediately formed a team. Zhu Zhuqing and Linglong naturally formed a team. So they were waiting for us here. It seems they felt humiliated by yesterday's incident, and today they want to redeem themselves through Tang San and Xiao Wu. And judging from the expressions of the others, everyone here, except the 3 of them, should have known about this in advance. Xiaoqi sneered in her heart. She had to say that Flanders had made a good calculation. Under normal circumstances, the combination of Zhu Zhuqing and Linglong was no match for the combination of Tang San and Xiao Wu. As long as the 2 of them lost, the other party could take the opportunity to beat them up, and at the same time, give him a warning, making him understand that this is Shrek Academy, and everything is under the control of him as the dean. Unfortunately, Flanders could never have imagined that Zhu Zhuqing was no longer the same person she used to be. With Linglong's assistance, it was not impossible for her to fight 2 people alone. Linglong was also no fool. She also saw through Flanders' intention. Just when she was about to speak, Xiaoqi pulled her aside. Linglong said angrily, Xiaoqi, they are obviously trying to bully Zhuqing and me, can't you see it? Okay, don't say anything for now. Xiaoqi replied unhappily, then looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, how about it, are you confident? Zhu Zhuqing nodded and said, if it was yesterday, I would have no chance of winning, but now I will slap them in the face. Xiaoqi smiled and said, confidence is a good thing, but be careful of hidden weapons. Linglong said anxiously, what the hell are you 2 talking about? We are grasshoppers on the same rope now, can you explain it clearly? Xiaoqi looked at each other and said, Linglong, you should be able to see that only the 3 of us don't know about this today. I only ask you one question now, are you willing to play with us in the future? But you have to think about it carefully. Once you choose to play with us, similar things will continue to happen to you. However, Zhuqing and I will protect your safety. I even have a way to let you live outside. Linglong replied without hesitation, after what happened yesterday, I had no intention of playing with him. I have been alone since I came back yesterday, and everyone else can testify to this. If it weren't for you 2 joining Shrek Academy, I would have quit here a long time ago. If they dare to do anything to me, I will let Grandpa Jian and Grandpa Gu tear down this broken academy. Xiaoqi nodded and said, okay, we'll tell her the details after we win the next battle. Zhu Zhuqing, tell her your current soul power level. Xiaoqi is not afraid of exposing her soul bones and moon steps. Unless Flanders is crazy, he doesn't have the courage to do anything to Zhu Zhuqing. As for Tang Hao, although Xiaoqi doesn't know whether he is still hiding here somewhere and watching, as long as Tang San and Xiao Wu's lives are not harmed, he will probably not care. Of course, Xiaoqi won over Ning Rongrong to give them an insurance. No matter how reckless Tang Hao is, he will not offend the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Ning Rongrong and said, "Let me introduce you again, Zhu Zhuqing, a level 30 Great Soul Master." "What?" Ning Rongrong exclaimed. The other party was clearly only level 27 yesterday. She saw it with her own eyes and she was sure it was correct. She had never heard of such a thing as upgrading 3 levels in one night. Xiaoqi said unhappily, "Don't make a fuss. After you assist Zhuqing, just give up and watch the show from the side." "Oh," Ning Rongrong nodded dully. She knew now wasn't the time to ask questions. After all, the three of them weren't already in the same boat, so there would be plenty of time to ask questions later. Xiaoqi then gave Zhu Zhuqing some instructions, telling her to teach those people a lesson later. The 10 minutes of preparation passed quickly. Flanders and the others had already drawn a circle on the playground to serve as the competition arena. The rules of the competition were simple: anyone who fell outside the circle or voluntarily admitted defeat would be eliminated. Flanders would serve as the referee. "Please vacate the competition area, all unrelated personnel." Seeing that everything was ready, Flanders began to clear the area. Everyone else retreated outside the circle, but Xiaoqi remained motionless. Flanders frowned at this, but just as he was about to speak, Xiaoqi spoke first, saying, "Dean Flanders, how about we make a bet? If Zhuqing loses the next competition, I'll make her live in Shrek Academy from today on, and I'll never set foot in the academy again, but if Zhuqing wins by chance later, I hope Ning Rongrong can live outside with us temporarily." After all, the two of them get along quite well. Flanders frowned even more tightly when he heard about the bet. He didn't believe that Xiaoqi couldn't see the intention of his action today. With Zhu Zhuqing's strength, even with the assistance of the Seven Treasures Glazed Pagoda, she could never be a match for Tang San and Xiao Wu. Not to mention that Tang San was that person's disciple. Xiaoqi smiled and continued, "Why, is Dean Flanders still worried about losing to me? If so, then this competition might as well be cancelled to avoid being laughed at. Although that's not my original intention, since you insist on betting with me, then I will accompany you." Flanders originally just wanted to put a damper on the other party's arrogance, but he never thought that the other party would become more and more aggressive. As the dean, doesn't he have any face? More importantly, he can't think of any possibility that Tang San will lose. Chapter 27. Tang San gets slapped in the face. Xiaoqi smiled when Flanders accepted his bet, said "come on" to Zhu Zhuqing, and retreated outside the circle. Flanders glanced at the 4 people in the arena and said, "Release your spirits." After the 4 of them released their spirits one after another, Tang San looked at Flanders and said, "Dean, I want Ning Rongrong to enhance Zhu Zhuqing first, otherwise they won't stand a chance." He had heard about Zhu Zhuqing's spirit attributes from Daimyo Bei yesterday. Her blue-silver grass spirit was a control type, perfectly countering the opponent's agility type attack, and her spirit power was 2 levels higher. Therefore, even with Ning Rongrong's enhancement, he was absolutely confident that he could defeat her. "Okay," Flanders nodded. He also knew that the gap in strength between them was too great, and he regarded Xiaoqi's so-called bet as a desperate attempt to save face. Ning Rongrong, since they're so generous, will accept it without hesitation, Xiaoqi shouted from outside the arena, her heart practically chuckling. Tang San's behavior was a perfect example of what it meant to act pretentiously only to be slapped in the face. "Alright," Ning Rongrong smiled. After adding both strength and speed boosts to Zhu Zhuqing, she looked at her and said, "Zhuqing, I'll step aside and watch your performance." Zhu Zhuqing nodded. She wasn't just going to win, she was going to win beautifully. "Begin," Flanders said, launching herself into the air. "Xiao Wu won't attack, so you go first," Tang San politely gestured to Zhu Zhuqing. "Pretentious," Zhu Zhuqing said coldly. She had no good manners towards any man other than Xiaoqi. Since Tang San wouldn't attack her, she didn't hold back. Everyone watched as her body suddenly sprang up, launching a series of phantoms at Tang San head-on. Faced with Zhu Zhuqing's breakneck speed, Tang San remained unfazed. After activating his purple demonic pupil, he could clearly see her movements. However, the next second, Zhu Zhuqing vanished from his sight. How is this possible? Tang San wasn't the only one unable to locate Zhu Zhuqing. Xiao Wu, who was standing beside him, and the other Shrek students present were equally unable to do so. Only the Shrek Academy teachers and Xiaoqi, whose spirit powers surpassed Zhu Zhuqing by dozens of levels, could clearly see her movements. This is a spirit bone skill. Flanders, watching the battle from the sky, was startled. He had just clearly seen Zhu Zhuqing's left leg twitch, and the spirit power now radiating from her wasn't level 27, but level 30. Flanders instinctively glanced at Xiaoqi, who was watching from the sidelines. The fact that Zhu Zhuqing, who had only level 27 yesterday, had reached her current spirit power level in just one night must have something to do with this kid. The other party had given Zhu Zhuqing a spirit bone, and it must have been incredibly old. Zhu Zhuqing had absorbed this spirit bone to achieve her current transformation. Flanders' face darkened as he recalled the bet they'd made with him. No wonder they dared to offer such conditions. They'd already been confident of victory, yet they'd even arrogantly asked Linglong to buff Zhu Zhuqing beforehand. Looks like Tang San and Xiao Wu are going to lose this match, with the 7 treasures glazed pagodas buff and the speed boost Zhu Zhuqing received from her spirit bone. How could Tang San and Xiao Wu possibly win? Flanders watched Tang San and Xiao Wu below, still searching for Zhu Zhuqing, and he already knew their fate. The situation on the field was just as Flanders had predicted. The moment Zhu Zhuqing vanished, Tang San had already activated his purple demon pupil to its maximum power, yet he could only barely make out her afterimage. Desperate, he activated blue silver grass to protect him and Xiao Wu. Even if they couldn't see, it didn't matter. If the enemy attacked, his blue silver grass would bind Zhu Zhuqing like a cage. What surprised Tang San was that Zhu Zhuqing didn't attack him from the ground, but from above. She can actually walk on air. Flanders and the other Shrek Academy teachers were stunned. Even though they had seen all sorts of spirit abilities, this was the first time they had ever seen such a bizarre skill. With 2 loud bangs, the Shrek students present saw Tang San and Xiao Wu sent flying backwards out of the circle. As for how they were sent flying, no one could see clearly. Zhuqing, you're amazing, Linglong cheered immediately. Knowing Zhu Zhuqing's strength, she had expected a victory, but not such an easy one. Oh my goodness, her husband is a pervert, but I didn't expect her to be so formidable, Ma Hongjin said, turning to look at Yubei. Zhu Zhuqing's displayed strength was completely different from what he had claimed. He had briefly clashed with Tang San and Xiao Wu that morning due to some misunderstanding, and he was well aware of their strength. However, the 2 men were powerless against Zhu Zhuqing. He didn't even see how she defeated them. Yubei was in no mood to argue with Ma Hongjin. He was undoubtedly shocked. He knew Zhu Zhuqing's spirit better than anyone else. The Nethercat, while renowned for its speed, wasn't so swift that he couldn't see clearly. Yubei couldn't help but wonder if he could defeat his elder brother, Davis, if he and she unleashed a spirit fusion technique together. He believed Zhu Zhuqing still had her own concerns. Otherwise, with the strength she had just displayed, why hadn't she used it against him yesterday? Yubei's only concern now was whether he could completely put aside his pride in front of Zhu Zhuqing, even if it was just for show. As for Xiaoqi, just a useless brute with some brute strength. How could he compare to him, the 3rd prince of the Star Luo Empire? Elsewhere, Tang San and Xiao Wu, having been knocked out of the circle, stood up from the ground. They exchanged a glance, still dazed. Brother, am I dreaming? Xiao Wu's eyes were dazed. She had no idea how she'd been sent flying. Xiao Wu, Tang San looked at Xiao Wu, unsure what to say. He'd been on high alert, thinking of every possible attack Zhu Zhuqing could muster, but he'd never imagined she'd launch a strike from the sky. By the time he realized the attack was underway, it was too late. He hadn't even had time to defend himself before he was sent flying. This was the first time since becoming a spirit master that he'd suffered such a crushing defeat. Thinking back to his earlier boasts, Tang San felt a surge of shame. Xiao Wu noticed his disappointment and quickly offered comfort. Brother, we were just careless this time. We'll definitely win next time, I understand. Thank you, Xiao Wu. Tang San smiled and nodded. Then, glancing at Zhu Zhuqing, who had already reached Xiaoqi's side, he vowed to himself that he would never lose again. In recent years, as his strength has continued to improve, his mentality has inadvertently become a little arrogant. After today's failure, he will no longer have any contemptuous mentality. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28, Sakata Gintoki's Funny Life. Zhu Zhuqing was feeling rather unhappy. After defeating Tang San and Xiao Wu, she immediately approached Xiaoqi, expecting her to offer some compliments. Instead, she waited for ages, but she received no reply, not even noticing her presence. Initially perplexed, Zhu Zhuqing's expression darkened when she realized why he was ignoring her. Zhu Zhuqing, a girl with both a beautiful figure and a pretty face, I'm standing before you, and you don't even glance at me. Your attention focused on chatting with Sakata Gintoki in the group chat? Xiaoqi, you're incredible. Furious, Zhu Zhuqing flipped through her previous chat logs, eager to see what could be more appealing than her own. Sakata Gintoki, at Linglong, Jin-san didn't expect you to be this kind of person. You've pissed me off all night. Nami, what's going on between you two? Linglong, I'm also baffled at Sakata Gintoki. What did I do to you? Sakata Gintoki, Jin-san's heart is broken by you. Jin-san never thought you'd be interested in a man's. If you want to see it, why don't you come to Jin-san? Jin-san can show it to you anytime. Xiaoqi, ha, I guessed it. Jin-san must have seen under one person. Linglong, Nami, at Linglong, Sister Linglong, you're not really going to see that thing, are you? I always thought Xiaoqi was just joking. Sakata Gintoki, at Linglong, such a pure and lovely girl like you actually did such a ridiculous thing. Jin-san was heartbroken when he saw you licking your face and begging Zhang Jiulin to show you. Linglong, I have a reason for this. Xiaoqi, Linglong, at Xiaoqi, what the hell are you saying? If you hadn't been messing around with me before, would anyone have misunderstood me like this? Xiaoqi, what's the misunderstanding? Just tell me whether you saw it or not. Sakata Gintoki, that's right. What's the gongsha, Gongsha? Jin-san, go draw one on your later. Xiaoqi, draw a little turtle? Linglong, damn little turtle. That's enough, you two. I won't watch it anymore now. Sakata Gintoki, at Linglong, Jin-san can forgive you, but you have to promise him one thing first. Otherwise, Jin-san will take a screenshot of that scene and post it all over the chat group every day. Xiaoqi, hiss, that's a cruel trick. Linglong, you win. Tell me what it is first. I won't agree to anything too extreme. Sakata Gintoki, replace the bear pattern on that white t-shirt you usually wear with Jin-san's portrait. Jin-san will supervise you every day. Nami, I knew he had no good intentions. Xiaoqi, at Sakata Gintoki, awesome. You've hung yourself directly on someone's chest. Linglong, at Sakata Gintoki, get out of here. I'd never do that even if I were to die. Sakata Gintoki, what's wrong with Jin-san's avatar? Hanging Jin-san's avatar on your chest can prevent perverts like Zhang Jiulin from approaching you. Linglong, I think you're the pervert, and a frivolous white-haired pervert at that. Xiaoqi, Jin-san, how will your Nami-chan feel about you doing this? Nami, I'm nothing to you. Are you free now? Don't you have to go out with your sister Zhuqing to cause trouble? Linglong, at Zhu Zhuqing, Sister Zhuqing, are you just going to leave him like that? If this guy keeps going on like this, he'll definitely become the next Sakata Gintoki. Sakata Gintoki, hey, what's wrong with being a man as upright as Jin-san? Jin-san and Xiaoqi are truly in love. When Xiaoqi becomes a Super Saiyan, Jin-san will merge with him and be called Jin Xiaoqi. Xiaoqi, Zhu Zhuqing, since you two are so in love, why don't you just get married? Xiaoqi, Zhuqing, you took care of Tang San and the others so quickly. Zhu Zhuqing, what? How long do you want me to fight? Or is my presence interfering with your affectionate display with that white-haired monster? Linglong, Sister Zhuqing, give him a good lesson. Nami, better give him another beating. That's what I do every time Luffy misbehaves. Now he's behaved like this. Xiaoqi, at Linglong, at Nami, you two shut up. Believe it or not, I'm going to expose your dirty laundry right now. Linglong and Nami, come on, come and kill us now if you're brave enough. Don't be a coward if you're a man. Sakata Gintoki, how can you tolerate this? Jin-san and you will deal with them together. Xiaoqi, at Sakata Gintoki, please stop causing trouble for me. Xiaoqi, at Linglong, at Nami, we will see. There will be a day when you will cry after hurriedly saying those harsh words. Zhu Zhuqing quickly exited the chat group, looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said in a flattering manner, Zhuqing, congratulations on your victory, you are really amazing. However, Zhu Zhuqing was not moved at all by Zhu Zhuqing's words. She slapped the other party's hand when she wanted to hold hers, and said coldly, go find your lover. Zhu Zhuqing stood there awkwardly. He really wanted to explain to the other party, but now with Linglong beside him, he couldn't say too much. In desperation, he could only say, Zhuqing, the misunderstanding here may be a bit big, but it is definitely not what you think. Linglong, who was standing next to them, was completely confused about the conversation between the two. She took it for granted that they were talking about her, so she said, Zhuqing, nothing happened between Zhu Zhuqing and me just now. Although he is a good person, I won't fall in love with him so quickly. Zhu Zhuqing? Zhu Zhuqing? Both of them were baffled by Linglong's words. Zhu Zhuqing glared at her and said angrily, go away, you have nothing to do here. Go cool off, huh? Linglong paused, then pointed at herself and asked, aren't you two talking about me? Zhu Zhuqing was almost laughing at Linglong's words. Just as he was about to tell her not to be so sentimental, Flanders appeared before the three of them. Zhu Zhuqing, you won that competition just now. Your strength far exceeds my expectations. I'll have the teachers at the academy take you to obtain your third spirit ring in the next 2 days. Also, the academy will keep your possession confidential. However, I also want to remind you not to use it in front of others. After all, it could bring you fatal harm. Flanders had just informed the other teachers at the academy of Zhu Zhuqing's spirit bone, keeping it a secret. He only disclosed Zhu Zhuqing's current spirit power level to the other 5 students at Shrek Academy. When the others heard about Zhu Zhuqing's current spirit power level, they were extremely shocked, especially Tang San and Xiao Wu. After learning this, they were no longer so unacceptable to their recent defeat. Dai Mubei looked at Zhu Zhuqing deeply. He had already made up his mind to put aside his pride and chase her back. They had a common enemy. And he believed that Zhu Zhuqing would make the right choice based on this alone. After he dealt with Davis, what kind of woman could he not find? Not to mention Zhu Zhuqing, he would even play with her sister Zhu Zhuqing. Zhu Zhuqing, who was in a bad mood, was too lazy to pay attention to Flanders, but Zhu Zhuqing beside her would not let her go. Dean Flanders, since you admit that Zhuqing won, shouldn't we fulfill the bet between us? Chapter 29, Slap Flanders. This, Flanders hesitated, and after a long silence, he looked at Linglong and said, your situation is different from Zhu Zhuqing's. If you don't live in the academy, it will affect your cultivation speed. Linglong snorted coldly and said disdainfully, Flanders, don't try to play tricks on me. I can practice well even if I live outside. Flanders' face suddenly turned cold and said, as the dean, I am responsible for every student in the academy. Zhu Zhuqing did win just now, but what does this have to do with you? With the strength she just showed, she can win even without your assistance. Linglong frowned and said coldly, Flanders, who do you think you are? You are just a little soul saint. It is an honor for your academy that I can study at Shrek Academy. What qualifications do you have to lecture me? As soon as these words came out, all the Shrek students and teachers present were pale. They never expected that this seemingly gentle little princess of the 7 treasures glazed tile sect would have such a willful personality. Linglong didn't care what others thought of her. She continued, I've only been here 2 days. Yesterday, you wanted to bully Zhu Zhuqing, and today it's Zhuqing and I's turn. But the funny thing is, in the end, you were the ones who got humiliated. Bullying, Flanders sneered. If you consider a normal exchange between students as bullying, then I can only say that you are not suited to this place. You should return to your 7 treasures glazed tile sect and continue living your life as a little princess. And never set foot outside the 7 treasures glazed tile sect. It's true that I, Flanders, am only a minor soul saint, but not you. Even your father wouldn't dare speak to me like that if he met me alone. Without the protection of a companion, any ordinary soul master could kill a support-type soul master like you alone. Take that competition just now for example. If Tang San and Xiao Wu really wanted to kill you, do you think Zhu Zhuqing could protect you on her own? I tell you, there's only one outcome. You and Zhu Zhuqing will both be killed from exhaustion of your soul force. And the reason for all this is because you, Linglong, are a burden. Nonsense. Linglong's chest heaved violently in anger. While Flanders' words were harsh, they weren't nonsense, so for a moment she was at a loss for words. You're still too naive, Xiaoqi said, looking at Ningrongrong's expression. However, he didn't rush to speak. He waited for Flanders to finish before making his move. I'm talking nonsense, Flanders sneered, pointing at Dime Yubei, Ma Hongjin, and Oscar, and recounting their situations one by one, just like in the original novel. I won't go into detail about the remaining three, Tang Sen, Xiao Wu, and Zhu Zhuqing. Their future achievements will far surpass yours. As for Xiaoqi, although he lacks spirit power, I believe he's been diligently training. You don't naively believe that an ordinary person could injure Daimyo with a single punch or withstand several punches from Teacher Zhao, do you, Ningrongrong? I can boldly say this, if you weren't the little princess of the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect, you'd be nothing. No one would tolerate your bad habits. Ningrongrong stood there, dazed. Every word from Flender pierced her heart like a sword. She hadn't expected that Oscar, the man she despised, would actually possess innate full spirit power. This completely shattered her greatest pride. Ningrongrong's face grew paler and paler, and she suddenly burst into tears. Just as she turned to run outside, Xiaoqi grabbed her. You're crying already? I still enjoyed seeing you being so rebellious just now. Xiaoqi's voice was like a lifeline, giving Ningrongrong a last glimmer of hope. She hugged her tightly, sobbing, Xiaoqi, they're bullying me, could you please let me go first? Xiaoqi was terrified. Zhu Zhuqing exuded a terrifying murderous aura. Oh, okay, Ningrongrong, sensing the same murderous aura, quickly let go of Xiaoqi. Without even wiping her tears, she looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, Zhuqing, I didn't mean to do that. Zhu Zhuqing snorted coldly and glared at Xiaoqi fiercely. If she hadn't been tempted to stir up trouble, she would have struck her in the face. She hadn't forgiven Xiaoqi for ignoring her earlier, and now she was hugging another woman in front of her. She had to discipline her, or else she could become another Sakata Gintoki. Xiaoqi smiled awkwardly at Zhu Zhuqing, then looked at Ningrongrong and said, your pride can be shattered so easily? If I tell you that what Flanders said to you just now was just a bluff, will you still be like this? Ningrongrong just stared at Xiaoqi in a daze. She was completely confused now. The smug smile that had just appeared on Flanders' face disappeared in an instant. He looked at Xiaoqi and said, Kid, stop talking nonsense here. Today's class ends here. You and Zhu Zhuqing can leave. Meet up at 7 o'clock this evening. Xiaoqi smiled and said, no hurry. Our bet hasn't been fulfilled yet. Besides, I think what Dean Flanders said just now was a bit inappropriate. It can easily hurt a young heart. Flanders frowned and said, what's wrong with what I said? Even Ningrongrong herself didn't refute it. Xiaoqi said, then let me talk about my personal opinion of Ningrongrong. If there's anything wrong, please feel free to correct me. According to what Dean Flanders said just now, Oscar is a food-type soul master with full innate soul power, but he's only level 29 at the age of 14. Although I don't know what level Ningrongrong's innate soul power is, she was already level 26 at the age of 12. The two of them are 2 years apart in age, but only 3 levels apart in soul power. Does Dean Flanders think that Ningrongrong's soul power won't reach level 29 by the time she's 14? You have to know that this is the famous Shrek Academy. If Ningrongrong is really ruined, it's not her own problem. As for Oscar's ability to replace the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect's position among auxiliary spirit masters, I think that's a bit of an exaggeration. Although I personally like to eat Oscar's sausages, the fact that the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect has become one of the top 3 sects and has continued to this day must be recognized by the vast majority of spirit masters on this continent, otherwise they would have been replaced by other auxiliary spirit masters long ago. Finally, I want to say that Ningrongrong's role in Shrek Academy is unique and irreplaceable. She does need others to protect her in battle. But the help she can provide to other spirit masters is also the most obvious. Let me ask you, if it weren't for Ningrongrong's assistance, how could there be such a thing as a cross-level challenge? I remember there is an unwritten rule on the continent that when 2 sides clash, if there are spirit masters from the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile Tower on the opposing side, they must be eliminated immediately. Doesn't this indirectly confirm the importance of this type of spirit master on the battlefield? I can say this, if Ningrongrong died on the battlefield, the rest of the people would basically follow in her footsteps. Ningrongrong's eyes regained their brilliance after hearing this, and she looked at Xiaoqi lovingly and said, my innate soul power is level 9. From now on, I will tell you anything you want to know about me. I won't listen to others, but I will definitely listen to you. Chapter 30. Zhu Zhuqing's background is very mysterious and cannot be touched for the time being. Ningrongrong's words, almost like a confession of love, frightened Zhu Zhuqing to death. She quickly stepped back and said, "No, we're just friends at best, not as bad as you say." Ningrongrong remained undeterred, still beaming at Zhu Zhuqing. Without his words, she would have been deeply devastated, and she felt deeply grateful to her. Zhu Zhuqing then took Zhu Zhuqing's hand and said, "Zhuqing, I'm a little tired." As a fellow woman, she could clearly sense Ningrongrong's increased affection for Zhu Zhuqing, and she wanted to assert her sovereignty with her actions. "Okay, let's go back then." Zhu Zhuqing nodded at Zhu Zhuqing, then smiled at Flender. "Dean Flender, we're leaving now. We'll continue tonight. Oh, by the way, don't forget to have Tang San and Xiao Wu run 50 laps around the village later." He still had at least 30,000 words to say, and he hadn't even had time to disparage the likes of Ma Hongjin and Daimyo Bei. But it didn't matter. There would be plenty of time later. The real event would be when they went to the starred out Great Forest. "Flender, you almost scared me just now. From today on, I'll be living outside with Xiaoqi and the others. If you don't like it, just kick me out of the academy, but I have to warn you, losing me, Ningrongrong, would be a loss for Shrek Academy." Ningrongrong finished her words and chased after Zhu Zhuqing. In her eyes, the Shrek Academy rabble was now less important than Zhu Zhuqing. She would only play with Zhu Zhuqing from now on. Flender watched the three people leave, his face dark as water. Of course, he wouldn't let Ningrongrong leave Shrek Academy. Everything he had just said was just an opportunity to test Ningrongrong's temper, and he only dared to say this with Ningfeng's approval. Everything had been going smoothly, but in the end, Zhu Zhuqing ruined everything. Zhu Zhuqing, this big trouble, is giving him a headache now. As long as he is there, the academy will not be peaceful. He must find a way to get rid of him next. Daimyo Bei walked up to Flanders and asked tentatively, "Dean, are you just going to let them go so easily?" Flanders, who was filled with anger and had nowhere to vent, roared, "What else? If you have the guts, go call Ningrongrong and Zhu Zhuqing back, and the rest of you, all of you, go run around the village now. Zhu Zhuqing is already level 30, and you guys don't dare to make the most of your time to practice." Daimyo Bei, Oscar, and Ma Hongjin didn't dare to breathe after seeing Flanders angry. Tang San said, "Dean is right. Xiao Wu and I will run the 50 laps today." Xiao Wu pulled Tang San and whispered, "Brother, we really have to run. It's 50 laps, it's very tiring." Tang San didn't try to be accommodating this time. He said seriously, "Xiao Wu, do you want to lose to Zhu Zhuqing again next time? Don't forget, she is the youngest among us." Xiao Wu was silent for a moment, then said, "Brother, I'll run with you. I used to be the big sister of the academy, and I want to be the big sister of the academy now. Xia Gang, he truly deserves to be your disciple." Flanders nodded with satisfaction at Tang San's back, but when he turned and saw the three still standing there like three wooden sticks, he immediately shouted angrily, "Why don't you three run together? They'll do 50 laps each, and you three will do 30. I'll have the other teachers watch you. If you miss a lap, you won't get any food." "Yes," the three replied with bitter faces. Daimyo Bei transferred all his hatred onto Zhu Zhuqing. Ma Hongjin felt quite wronged, he had done nothing. Oscar felt a little disappointed. On the one hand, he found Ningrongrong's exposed true nature difficult to accept, and on the other, he had just backed down, not speaking up for Ningrongrong when she needed him most. After all the students had left, Zhao Wuji walked up to Flanders and said, "What are you going to do with that brat?" Flanders shook his head and said, "Let's leave it this way for now. None of us knows his identity or background right now. Let's wait and see what the adults' investigation results are. Wuji, don't do anything rash before that." Zhao Wuji nodded and said, "I know that someone who can produce a spirit bone of that level must be no simple person. Besides, he's also very strange. I can't see through him at all. If the situation continues like this, I'm afraid it will be difficult for Mubai to get Zhu Zhuqing back." Flanders sighed and said, "The struggle between the royal families of the Xingluo Empire is not something we can participate in. All we can do is try our best to give Mubai a chance. In a few days, please take Zhu Zhuqing and that brat to the Xingdao Great Forest to obtain spirit rings. When you come back, my old friend who I haven't seen for many years should be here. He will definitely find a way to make that brat lose face." Zhao Wuji smiled and said, What trouble? I'm the vice president of this academy after all. If he really comes along this time, I'll make him suffer a little. After all, there are so many spirit beasts there, so a little trouble is normal, Flanders said with a smile. You're still so vindictive. But it's fun, just don't get anyone killed. Meanwhile, Xiaoqi, on his way back to Soto City, was unaware that he was being targeted by several people. He was busy making up a story for Ningrongrong. Ningrongrong's incessant questioning forced Xiaoqi to half-truthfully tell her about his relationship with Zhu Zhuqing. He hadn't deliberately concealed the identities of Zhu Zhuqing and Daimyo Bei. A simple investigation by the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect would reveal them. It's possible that Ning Fengzi already knew about them. After all, Ningrongrong's every move since leaving the sect had been under his nose. He had created a persona for himself as a hidden family. Daluo continent was so vast, he didn't believe the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect knew everything. As for how he and Zhu Zhuqing met, that was even simpler. He left his family to gain experience, and by chance, he encountered the fugitive Zhu Zhuqing and rescued her. A mutual attraction blossomed between the two, and over time, they fell in love. Finally, the purpose of their visit to Shrek Academy was revealed. Zhu Zhuqing, abandoned by a scumbag, brought her current boyfriend to confront him. What could be more satisfying? Ningrongrong was deeply moved by this, shaking her fist and saying, "This Daimyo Bei is such a jerk. He's from the Xingluo Empire royal family, so what? Others might be afraid of him, but not me. Zhuqing, our Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect will be your backer from now on, no need." Zhu Zhuqing flatly rejected the offer, looking at Xiaoqi and saying, "He alone is enough. His backers are my backers." With their backs to the chat group, not only did the Seven Treasures Glazed Tile sect pale in comparison to it, but even the entire Daluo continent was equally insignificant. Chapter 31, Flying Feels So Good. After Xiaoqi and the other two returned to Soto City, they first went to the blacksmith's shop to get the weighted wrist and ankle braces they had crafted, which they strapped onto themselves. Ningrongrong, watching Xiaoqi slowly approach them, couldn't help but ask, "Zhuqing, is this really okay? That's a full 40 kilograms, she'd just experienced this herself out of curiosity, but after simply strapping her ankles to her legs, she couldn't move a step." Ningrongrong now understood why Xiaoqi was so powerful even without her soul power. Zhu Zhuqing shrugged, "He'll get used to this little weight pretty quickly. For a Saiyan like Xiaoqi, this little weight was nothing." The Saiyan named Sun Wukong trained in a 100-fold gravity environment. Ningrongrong looked back and forth between Xiaoqi and Zhu Zhuqing, and finally made up her mind and said, "Zhuqing, when the set of weights you are using now is eliminated, can you let me use it?" What Flanders said before is right. An auxiliary soul master like me is nothing without the protection of others. You two are my most important friends now. I don't want to hold you back, so I want to become stronger too. Xiaoqi's set of weights was not suitable for her, but the 12-kilogram set of weights that Zhu Zhuqing was wearing was barely enough for her to adapt to. Zhu Zhuqing looked at Ningrongrong deeply, then nodded and said, "Okay." Ningrongrong smiled sweetly at Zhu Zhuqing and said, "From now on, you can just call me Rongrong. When I return to the hotel, I will write a letter home," as Xiaoqi said, "and tell my father the true situation of Shrek Academy. I know you will definitely leave Shrek Academy in the future. I will go with you then. I don't want to stay in this crappy place for a moment." Ningrongrong is not stupid. She can see that Xiaoqi and Zhu Zhuqing have no feelings for this place. They stay here just to slap Daimyo Bei in the face. They will naturally leave here when they have had enough fun. Zhu Zhuqing said calmly, "I listen to him. Wherever he goes, I go. You two have such a good relationship." Ningrongrong sighed, then took her arm and smiled, "We're going to wait for him anyway. Can you tell me how he saved you back then, and who of you fell in love with whom first?" This question really stumped Zhu Zhuqing. She wouldn't tell Ningrongrong about the chat group, but she wasn't as good at making up stories as Xiaoqi, so she could only evade the question by saying it was private between them and inconsiderate. Ningrongrong didn't press her further. She had noticed over the past few days that Zhu Zhuqing was a quiet person, only speaking more when she was with Xiaoqi. "Sorry to keep you waiting," Xiaoqi apologized after catching up with him. He had just been adjusting to the extra 40 kilograms. Zhu Zhuqing smiled and said, "No problem. Should we go back to the hotel or eat first?" Xiaoqi thought for a moment and said, "Let's eat first." I'd like to practice for a while before going back to the hotel. Watching your fight earlier has my hands itching. Okay, Zhu Zhuqing smiled. She knew Xiaoqi, a Saiyan, would feel uncomfortable without training. Linglong, beside her, had no objection either. She also wanted to practice hard so she could embarrass Flanders, that old man. So, the three of them headed towards the restaurant they had visited yesterday. The waiter, upon seeing Xiaoqi, a big eater, had returned, greeted her with a smile. This patron must be served well. His meal alone would cover nearly a day's revenue for the restaurant. After a hearty meal, Xiaoqi patted her stomach in satisfaction. Linglong offered to pay for the meal. She said there was no need for formalities between friends, and Xiaoqi had done her such a big favor today. After a short rest, the three of them returned to their usual spot to practice. Xiaoqi instructed Zhu Zhuqing to first adjust to the weight like herself, and only begin combat training once her body had fully acclimated. As for Linglong, Xiaoqi told her to continue her usual training methods. He had always believed that a support-type spirit master's primary priority was to improve their spirit power. While combat effectiveness could be enhanced through the absorption of combat-attributed spirit bones, physical enhancement was relatively secondary. Of course, if Linglong wanted to improve her physical strength, Xiaoqi asked her to run with him tomorrow morning. Linglong naturally followed Xiaoqi's advice, agreeing to run together the next morning before sitting cross-legged and meditating. Xiaoqi and Zhu Zhuqing began jogging. Initially, things seemed normal, but as they ran, Xiaoqi's attention became distracted, her gaze occasionally drifting to Zhu Zhuqing. Zhu Zhuqing had noticed the other man's gaze and, at first, felt a small chuckle. But as his gaze grew more brazen, Zhu Zhuqing couldn't resist. Blushing, she cursed softly, "What are you looking at, pervert?" "Well, I'll speed up, you take your time," Xiaoqi said, then picked up the pace. Zhu Zhuqing's body trembled as she ran, making him feel a bit overwhelmed. This guy has adapted so quickly. Zhu Zhuqing was astonished as she watched Xiaoqi pull away from her. It had only been 2 or 3 hours since he'd put on the weights. Unaware of Zhu Zhuqing's thoughts, Xiaoqi gritted his teeth and persevered. Without the other man's presence, Xiaoqi gradually focused his attention on training. From the initial run to the push-ups and punching exercises, Xiaoqi diligently completed each exercise. Having already been able to control a little bit of ki in the morning, he now felt increasingly familiar with the process. Strange, why can't I fly? After several failed attempts, Xiaoqi fell into deep thought. He remembered the story in the original story, when Sun Gohan taught Videl how to control her ki in just a few hours. She mastered it and even managed to levitate. There was no way a Saiyan like him couldn't compete with an ordinary earthling. Unconvinced, Xiaoqi simply spent 498 points on a monthly subscription and then found Dragon Ball Z, watching the scene where Sun Gohan taught Videl how to control her ki. So that's how it is, I get it. Xiaoqi removed the weights and, imitating Sun Gohan's instructions, calmed his mind and slowly channeled the power within him. A moment later, Xiaoqi's body slowly rose to the surface, rising higher and higher under Zhu Zhuqing's astonished gaze. "Zhuqing, look, I can fly." "Ha ha ha!" Xiaoqi happily flew around in the air for a few circles, his cry startling Linglong from her meditation. When Linglong opened her eyes and looked up following Zhu Zhuqing's gaze, she saw Xiaoqi flying in the air. Her eyes widened, and after rubbing them to make sure she wasn't hallucinating, she exclaimed, "Xiaoqi, how did you ascend to heaven?" Chapter 32 Kamehameha Wave. Hiss, Xiaoqi rubbed his butt. Linglong's earlier words had directly caused him to lose control of his anger and fall from the air. Fortunately, he didn't fly very high and landed on his butt first. If he had landed head first, he would have had a huge bump on his head. Zhu Zhuqing's face was full of heartache. She had just wanted to catch him, but the suddenness of the incident and the weight she was carrying made her a step too late. She had to watch helplessly as he fell in front of her. Linglong, the culprit, said apologetically, "I'm sorry, I was too excited just now." "How about I rub it for you?" Xiaoqi said angrily. "Linglong, can you please speak properly?" This is the umpteenth time. He was increasingly convinced that Linglong had something seriously wrong with her mind. How could she let him rub this spot so easily? Zhu Zhuqing glared at Linglong, then reached out to support Xiaoqi and asked concernedly, "Does it still hurt?" Do you want to go back and rest? Xiaoqi replied, it'll be much better soon. Minor injuries like these heal faster for me, and I want to get more familiar with it while I'm still getting my bearings. Okay, I'll stay with you. Zhu Zhuqing considered herself quite active in her cultivation, but now, faced with such a dedicated practitioner, she felt inferior. Xiaoqi asked Zhu Zhuqing and Ningrongrong not to disturb her, then sat cross-legged. He closed his eyes and began to concentrate, sensing the flow of energy within him. This time, his goal was to emit Kigen waves. As time passed, after Xiaoqi sat motionless for nearly an hour, Ningrongrong began to grow impatient. However, just as she was about to ask Zhu Zhuqing about this, she was met with a glare. She knew that this was a crucial moment for Xiaoqi, and she couldn't let anyone or anything disturb her. 10 more minutes passed before Xiaoqi suddenly opened his eyes and stood up. He then formed his hands into the shape of a calyx, placing them at his waist. The next second, a bluish-white ball of light condensed in his palms. Kami-hami, with each word Xiaoqi chanted, the bluish-white ball of light in his hand grew larger and larger. Ha! As Xiaoqi finished the last word, a blue-white bullet with a long tail shot out from his hand. With a bang, Zhu Zhuqing and Ningrongrong watched as the man-height rock not far in front of Xiaoqi was shattered into several pieces by the energy. Xiaoqi stared at his trembling hands, his heart filled with excitement. He had succeeded. Though the power was a little weaker, he had truly unleashed the Kamehameha technique. Excited, he ran to Zhu Zhuqing as fast as he could and hugged her in his arms. Zhuqing, did you see that? I succeeded. Zhu Zhuqing, who was a little surprised at first, was soon relieved and said with a smile, congratulations on your success. My safety will be in your hands from now on. Xiaoqi nodded and said, don't worry, I will protect you forever. Hearing this, Zhu Zhuqing put her arms around her waist and said, I will always remember this. Just as their relationship was heating up, Ningrongrong's untimely voice rang out again, can you two pay attention to my feelings? Xiaoqi, who was disturbed, let go of Zhu Zhuqing, looked at Ningrongrong with an unhappy face and said, why are you here again? I feel more and more that it was a wrong decision to bring you along to play. Ningrongrong was not annoyed, and said with a smile, anyway, you have already brought me along to play. Can you tell me what that Kamiwatha thing was just now? This is my self-created soul skill, Xiaoqi casually perfunctorily said to the other party, and he was too lazy to explain to Ningrongrong. Zhu Zhuqing then said, Ningrongrong, don't tell anyone a word about what you saw today, or I'll be angry. Ningrongrong tilted her head and said, I was just meditating and practicing. Did you guys do anything? Xiaoqi, amused by her playful deception, said jokingly, you seem quite clever now. How could you be so clueless this morning, easily fooled by Flender's simple words? But since you're so understanding, I'm willing to teach you those two techniques if you perform well in the future. Xiaoqi understood the principle of giving a slap in the face and then getting a sweet date. Theoretically, everyone possesses ki, and anyone can freely manipulate this energy through training. However, truly mastering its application is far from easy. Therefore, even if Ningrongrong were told the method, she wouldn't necessarily learn it. Hearing this, Ningrongrong patted her small chest and assured him, don't worry, I'll definitely obey. Alright, we'll talk when you've truly mastered it. Also, your current physical condition is too poor. If you want to learn these things, you must first strengthen your body, but you must not put the cart before the horse. Your first priority should still be cultivating your soul power. Do you understand? Xiaoqi kindly reminded her. He didn't want Ningrongrong to delay her soul training to learn skills she might not master. Yes, I understand, Ningrongrong replied loudly. Xiaoqi nodded, put her weights back on, and said, let's stop here for today. Let's go back to the hotel and rest. After the three of them returned to the Rose Hotel, Ningrongrong went back to her room to write a letter to her father, Ning Fengzi, informing him of Shrek's abominable actions. After entering Zhu Zhuqing's room, Xiaoqi lay down on the sofa, resting and chatting in the group. Zhu Zhuqing had originally considered taking advantage of their alone time to ask him something, but after seeing him engaged in a lively group chat, she gave up. She decided it was best to let things take their own course. It was just a matter of time between them. Hint: this triggers a storyline quest. Group member Nami will enter the Kokoja village storyline. Group members Nami can modify the storyline to their own needs. The greater the modification, the more points they earn. This quest can be completed with 5 other group members. Hint: this storyline quest is short-term. Invitees can return to their respective worlds within 24 hours of the quest's completion. Nami: great, I successfully triggered the storyline quest. Linglong: 5 people? Then we all have a share. Sakata Gintoki: hurry, hurry, Jin-san's sword is thirsty. Xiaoqi: are you sure it's your sword that's thirsty, and not something else? Snickering JPG: Sakata Gintoki: you bastard. How could Jin-san be that kind of person? Zhu Zhuqing sister, you better take care of him. Jin-san is about to be corrupted by him. Xiaoqi: damn it. I treated you like a brother, and you actually stabbed me in the back. Heartbroken JPG. Zhu Zhuqing: at Sakata Gintoki, don't corrupt Xiaoqi. He's doing fine now. Sakata Gintoki: what? Jin-san, am I seeing things? Are you trying to piss Jin-san off so you can inherit his Yorazuaya? Xiaoqi: come on. Whoever takes over your Yorazuaya will have to pay for it. Just how much money do those foodies there have to spend in a day? Sakata Gintoki: Jin-san, I'm not talking to you too, you're all in the same boat. Nami-chan, you're the only one who can comfort Jin-san's wounded heart right now. Let me come over here. Nami, you deserve it. It's your fault for always being like that. Nami: everyone, I can't invite you right now. The system says I can only start this quest when I return to Kokoja village tomorrow morning. Chapter 33. Nami was so angry that she doubted her life. Xiaoqi: so you're still at the Barity, the seaside restaurant? Nami: well, I've been sailing at full speed since leaving Zuluofu village. I just arrived here at noon today. I'll be leaving when Luffy and the others have dinner, but I've already told Kaya. Xiaoqi: did you tell them about the chat group? Nami: not yet. I just made up an excuse. I plan to tell them about the chat group later. Although they're a very reliable group in the original story, that's just the original story. I need to observe them for a while. Xiaoqi: wow, I didn't expect you to be so smart this time. Sakuragi Hanamichi: brother Su, I've already told everyone else about the chat group. Is it okay? Xiaoqi: Sakuragi, if you only told the Sakuragi army, it won't be a big deal, but remember to keep it a secret. After all, this thing is so magical. If someone gets to know about it, they might catch you and slice you up. Xiaoqi: of course. When you're strong enough to level your world, it won't matter. Anyone who dares to bully you will be killed. Sakuragi Hanamichi: okay, I get it. By the way, brother Su, I've made up my mind to play basketball. This time, I'm going to completely defeat that stinky fox. Haruko is mine. Xiaoqi: determination is a good thing. First, understand the rules of basketball. Don't worry about anything else. I'll give you the skill card later, and then I'll teach you how to play fantasy basketball. I guarantee you'll become the number 1 in your world. Sakuragi Hanamichi: ha, that stinky fox can only be crushed by this genius. Sakata Gintoki: Hashidamate, at Xiaoqi, is that the basketball you just mentioned the legendary guy with colorful hair who plays? Xiaoqi: ha, that's right. I didn't expect Jin-san to have seen it too. Sakata Gintoki: of course. Jin-san, I really like peaches. Linglong, could you change your line? We're almost tired of hearing that. Sakata Gintoki: Linglong, are you jealous? Although you and Mimako are the same color, I still like you better, Jin-san. I've always wanted to be the little bear on your clothes. Linglong, get lost, go and woo Nami. Nami? Are you selling me out like that? Believe it or not, I won't be taking you on this mission. Linglong, ahoha, I was just kidding. We all know that Jin-san's favorite is Xiaoqi. Nami, I agree with that. Sakata Gintoki: hey, you two women, stop going too far. What do you take Jin-san's sincerity for? Xiaoqi: let me clarify one thing. Although Jin-san likes men, that person can never be me. Katsura Katero, Takasugi Shinsuke, and Hijikata Jishiro are his true loves. Sakata Gintoki: Xiaoqi, don't go too far. Believe it or not, Jin-san told Takanako about your hemorrhoids. Zhu Zhuqing: have you seen it? Sakata Gintoki: Takanako, Xiaoqi showed it to me last night when he was video chatting with Jin-san. Jin-san didn't want to see it. After all, this kind of thing can corrupt children, but after all, I'm a good man who likes to help others. Xiaoqi, stop talking nonsense here. I wouldn't ask you for a video chat. I'd ask Nami or Linglong. Would that be better? Sakata Gintoki, look, he's not only trying to rip Jin-san's balls, he's also going after Nami and Linglong's body. Takanako, Jin-san suggests you send him back to his own world right now. Xiaoqi, damn white-haired man, let's duel. Sakata Gintoki, come on, you evil Saiyan. Xiaoqi, Kamehameha wave, ha. Sakata Gintoki, ultimate flash cannon, haha. Xiaoqi, damn it, I didn't expect it to be evenly matched. You're worthy of being my lifelong rival. Sakata Gintoki, he kicks you. I didn't expect to end up in a drawer with a low-ranking warrior like you. I'll let you and the earth go this time. I'll be back. Sakuragi Hanamichi, okay, cool, coach. I want to learn this. Linglong, Zhu Zhuqing, why don't you find someone else? I think there's something amiss between them. Nami, I think so too. I'd never believe you if you said there wasn't any problem between them. Inside the room, Xiaoqi felt Zhu Zhuqing's cold gaze and instantly sat up straight. She smiled awkwardly and said, Zhu Zhuqing, if I say I was accidentally led astray by Jin-san, would you believe me? Zhu Zhuqing snorted coldly and said, don't hang out with him anymore. Xiaoqi nodded in agreement and then opened the chat group again. Xiaoqi, ugh, my brain was just taken over by a virus called Shinbaji. I think we should talk about tomorrow's mission. Sakata Gintoki, yes, Jin-san, my brain was just taken over by a virus called Kagura-ji as well. Linglong, I'm really impressed by you too. Xiaoqi, Nami, what are you going to do with the Arlong pirates? Sakata Gintoki, Nami-chan, Jin-san's suggestion is to kill all those rotten fish and shrimp. If you can't bear it, let Jin-san and Xiaoqi do it. We guarantee a clean finish. Xiaoqi, I agree with Jin-san's suggestion. Although I haven't killed anyone yet, these beasts are not human, and their actions are simply outrageous. Nami, Xiaoqi, stop talking about this and that. Let me make it clear that I'm not as merciful as Luffy. If you just want to defeat them and hand them over to the Navy for custody, then I'm afraid I can't participate in this mission. This is not a matter of accumulating points. Sakata Gintoki, Nami-chan, although Jin-san likes you very much, these bastards have been bullying your village for 8 years and even killed Jin-san's mother-in-law, Belmare. Nami, what mother-in-law? Don't talk nonsense to me, Linglong. Wait, what's going on between you two now? Why do you have to kill that group of people? Xiaoqi, Linglong's sister, let me ask you, would you become friends with the people who killed your mother? Linglong, of course not. The hatred of killing your mother is irreconcilable. Xiaoqi, yeah, no normal person would do that, but Nami did just that. Not only did she forgive the other person's past misdeeds, she even became friends with him. When I saw that part, I was practically sick to death. I really don't know what's going on in your head. Xiaoqi, don't tell me it's being controlled and doing Arlong's bidding. Anyone who gets involved with Arlong isn't a good person. Its hands are stained with the blood of your compatriots. Xiaoqi, that's what you call meeting Luffy. What if you hadn't met him? And have you ever considered what would have happened to your Kokoja village if Arlong had also escaped from the Navy? Xiaoqi, so, to put it nicely, you're naive and kind, but to put it bluntly, you're just mentally ill. Thank you to bookfriend 2024060220034999944 for the reward. Thank you to bookfriend Coffee is a little hot for the reward. Thank you to bookfriend who likes novels for the monthly pass. Chapter 34, Nami wants to kill all members of the Dragon Pirates. The Pirate World, the East China Sea, the Barity Restaurant on the sea. Sorry, I have to leave for a moment. Nami tried hard to hold back the tears in her eyes and walked silently to the outside of the Barity Restaurant on the sea. She had no idea about the plot that Xiaoqi mentioned in the chat group. She had just finished watching the Alabasta plot today. She didn't have time to explain, but the other party kept talking like a machine gun in the chat group, saying that she was mentally ill. How could she forgive Arlong and his gang? She wanted to kill these beasts who killed her mother and destroyed her village with her own hands. Although Nami tried her best to defend herself in her heart, she knew that what Xiaoqi said must be true. In the original book, she really did such a mentally ill thing just like he said. Keiya's voice sounded behind her at this time. Nami, what's wrong with you? Are you worried about the village? Nami wiped the tears from her face, forced a smile, and turned her head and said, Kaya, I'll go back to the village first. You must wait until Luffy defeats Creek before telling them about me. There are some things I can't tell you now, but please believe me, I'm doing this for their own good. They are still too weak now and need to go through all kinds of hardships to grow, so I'm counting on you. Kaya smiled and said, I believe you. It was you who told me about Kuro's conspiracy in advance, and it was you who brought me on board. Although I can't help you with your village, I will support you spiritually, but you must be careful. I heard that the Arlong pirates are the most powerful pirates in our East China Sea. You must not take them alone. Several faces suddenly appeared in Nami's mind. She smiled and said, Don't worry, I'll be fine. This time I will completely liberate my hometown and will never leave any hidden dangers. The sea breeze is strong here, and you haven't fully recovered yet. Hurry and go in first. Once we reach the Grand Line, your illness will be resolved, and you'll also be able to learn the best medical skills. Kaya nodded and said, Then we'll meet up at your village. Be careful. Nami's smile instantly vanished after watching Kaya leave. She gritted her teeth and muttered to herself, Xiaoqi, I've made a note of this. You'd better not give me any evidence against you in the future, otherwise, Nami, at Xiaoqi, I've thought it through. Tomorrow I'm going to kill all the members of the Arlong pirates, so could you please help me? Linglong, I must help. Zhu Zhuqing, I'll definitely come. Sakata Gintoki, of course. Jin-san, I'm going on a killing spree tomorrow. Just wait and see my heroic performance. Xiaoqi, I'm glad you figured it out. Although I was a bit blunt earlier, it was also for your own good. Nami, I know Xiaoqi is the best. I will repay you tomorrow. Zhu Zhuqing, Sakata Gintoki, Nami-chan, did you get something wrong? He just scolded you. Nami, did he scold me? Why didn't I see that? Linglong, Sakata Gintoki, Sister Zhuqing, this is bad. Your Xiaoqi is about to be snatched away. Jin-san gives you a rope. Quickly tie him around your waist. Xiaoqi, shut up. At Nami, forget about your little tricks. I'm not Luffy. Nami, what are you talking about? I don't understand. By the way, I'm alone tonight. Do you want to video chat with me? Sakata Gintoki, yes. Jin-san will wash himself clean and then lie in bed and video chat with you until dawn. Nami, you can video chat with me if you want 10,000 points per minute. Sakata Gintoki, the kind without clothes. Nami, get lost, don't come tomorrow. Sakata Gintoki, damn, Jin-san was just controlled by Shinbaji, Kaguraji, and a big dog called Sadaharu. Xiaoqi, you might as well say you just turned into a wig. Ha. Sakuragi Hanamichi, big brother, what should I do? I can fight, but I know nothing about killing, and I don't think I can beat them. Xiaoqi, it's okay, big brother will help you get points. All you have to do is yell 666 at the side. Sakuragi Hanamichi, okay big brother, thank you big brother 666, Linglong, at Xiaoqi, I'm curious why you take such good care of Sakuragi. Xiaoqi, you'll know this after you've watched Slam Dunk. Sakuragi is super fun. Sakuragi Hanamichi, big brother, even if you praise me so much, the person I like most in my heart is still Haruko. Xiaoqi, Sakuragi, don't play with guys with white hair in the future, otherwise you will be led astray. Sakata Gintoki, bastard, if you have the guts, just report Jin-san's ID card directly, don't beat around the bush and curse me. Xiaoqi, I'm going to have dinner with Zhuqing now, I don't have time to care about you, bye everyone. Sakata Gintoki, Kikexu, what's so great about that? The cute Kagura-chan and I are going to have a super large deluxe parfait Sunday meal tonight. Xiaoqi looked at Sakata Gintoki's words and smiled and shook his head. He was now looking forward to meeting the other people in the group tomorrow. Zhuqing, you should talk more in the group chat from now on. Everyone's quite interesting. Zhu Zhuqing rolled her eyes and said, what do you want me to say? Should I join you in showing off our affection, or should I criticize you while you and Beimeo are showing off your affection? Xiaoqi's smile froze. It was okay if the other party had simply killed the conversation. Knock. Just then, there was a knock on the door, followed by Ningrongrong's voice. Xiaoqi, Zhuqing, are you done? It's time for dinner. That Ningrongrong is really stubborn. Xiaoqi cursed angrily, looking at Zhu Zhuqing and saying, let's go, so that damn girl won't be yelling outside. On the way to the restaurant, Linglong handed the letter she had written to the owner of a store owned by the Seven Treasures glazed tile sect in Soto City, reminding him to send someone to deliver the letter safely to her father. After dinner, Xiaoqi and the other two arrived at the Shrek Academy grounds. If his guess was correct, Flanders would likely send them to the Great Soul Arena, just like in the original novel. Sure enough, when Flanders arrived, he spoke a few token words and then told everyone to follow him, beginning their first real class since joining the academy. Tang San, Xiao Wu, Daimyu Bei, and Ma Hongjin followed closely behind Flanders, while Xiaoqi and the other two walked at a leisurely pace at the back. Upon discovering their destination was Soto City, Linglong said with an annoyed look, "That old dang is truly wicked. He knew we lived in Soto City, yet he still insisted on making us make an extra trip." As the group arrived at the entrance to the Great Soul Arena, Xiaoqi sneered inwardly. He was going to have to take advantage of Flanders later. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 The Cat Who Loves Spicy Rabbit Head. Standing at the entrance to the Great Soul Fighting Arena, Flanders first instilled a wave of monster ideology in everyone, then explained some of the rules. Finally, he told everyone that one of the graduation requirements for Shrek Academy was to obtain the Silver Soul Fighting Badge here. Alright, Mubei will take you to register. If you have any questions, you can ask him directly. Daimyu Bei nodded, walked over to Zhu Zhuqing with a smile, and said, "Zhuqing, if you have any questions, you can ask me." Zhu Zhuqing didn't even glance at her. She took Xiaoqi's hand and walked straight into the Great Soul Fighting Arena. "What are you pretending to be, bitch?" Daimyu Bei cursed inwardly, but he maintained a smile on the surface. He looked at the crowd and said, "Everyone, let's go in too. I'll explain it in more detail on the way." Zhu Zhuqing noticed that Xiaoqi seemed a little distracted and whispered, "What are you thinking about?" Xiaoqi smiled and said, "Nothing. I was just thinking about what catchy name to give you when you sign up later." Zhu Zhuqing was clearly skeptical of this explanation, but since there were so many people around, she didn't ask any further questions. Xiaoqi was relieved that the other party didn't ask any further questions. He had actually been thinking about Daimyu Bei. Something must be wrong when things are out of the ordinary. Daimyu Bei's unprovoked courtesy must be something he had in mind for Zhu Zhuqing. He suspected that the most likely reason was that Zhu Zhuqing's display of strength today gave him hope of defeating Davis, so he had put on such a shameless attitude and actively tried to please her. Daimyu Bei, you won't have a chance to turn things around in this lifetime. Enjoy your last days now." Xiaoqi glanced at Daimyu Bei, who was still telling the others about his battle exploits here, and began to wonder if she'd have a chance to take him down when she returned to the starred-out Great Forest in 2 days. At the registration counter for the Great Soul Arena, Zhu Zhuqing handed in 10 gold soul coins and received an application form, but didn't rush to fill it out. Instead, she looked at Xiaoqi and asked, "Have you decided on a name for me?" Xiaoqi paused for a moment, then, realizing what she was thinking, whispered a few words into her ear. Zhu Zhuqing was speechless upon hearing the name she'd been given. This bad guy truly didn't miss any opportunity to cause trouble, but she would go along with him. As for the possibility of offending someone at the academy by choosing such a name, she didn't care at all. She hadn't come here with the intention of making friends. Linglong was simply an accident. After completing all the registration information, the next step was a soul power test, which would both confirm whether one had lied about their soul power and determine their opponent. After everyone successfully registered, the Great Soul Fighting Arena began to rank their souls. Flanders took advantage of this opportunity to ask Linglong to find a partner to sign up for a 2-on-2 soul fight, and then walk towards the soul fighting arena. Seeing this, Xiaoqi took a card from Zhu Zhuqing and quickly caught up with her. "Dean Flanders, why are you walking so fast? Let's go together." Flanders turned his head and said lightly, "Why, don't you have to accompany Zhu Zhuqing?" Xiaoqi smiled and said, "Even if I wanted to accompany you, I can't. Besides, I think there are some misunderstandings between us. It's a good opportunity to communicate well." Xiaoqi was very considerate and bought 2 tickets. After entering the fighting spirit area with Flanders, she looked at him and said, Dean Flanders, do you know where I can place bets? The students of our Shrek Academy are so outstanding. I think we can make a lot of money in a while. Aren't you afraid that I will tell Zhu Zhuqing about you going to gamble? Flanders naturally knew all this. He usually placed bets here. After all, how can an academy be supported without making some extra money? If he relied solely on his small shop selling junk, the academy would have gone bankrupt long ago. Flanders also knew Xiaoqi was wealthy. Li Yusong had already told him that Xiaoqi had originally come to invest in the academy, and he'd been sulking for quite a while because of it. It was all that damned Zhao Wuji's fault for causing the academy such a huge loss. Xiaoqi said, Dean, we're all men. It's normal for men to have their own little hobbies. Besides, this is a sure win. If I win a ton of money, she'll be so happy. Okay, then, come with me. But if you lose it all, it's none of my business. This is your own bet. Flanders knew full well that even these little monsters from their academy couldn't guarantee victory. He'd bet lightly. Winning would be best, but losing would be within his acceptable range. Xiaoqi nodded and assured him, of course. Today's events have nothing to do with you, Dean. The two of them arrived at the betting area, watching the matches while waiting for the Shrek Academy players to appear. After several rounds, they finally saw the Shrek Academy team. Xiaoqi was slightly surprised to find that the first person to appear was Tang San. His opponent wasn't Zhu Zhuqing from the original novel, but a seemingly unheard-of minor character, a level 27 attack-type spirit master. This card has 3,000 gold soul coins. Please bet all on Tang San to win. Without hesitation, Xiaoqi placed all his bets on Tang San. Although his odds were low, the odds didn't matter. His goal was to lure Flanders into the trap. After the bets were placed, Xiaoqi approached Flanders and said with a smile, Dean, I'm betting everything on Tang San. How much did you bet? Flanders exclaimed in surprise, you're quite bold. I don't have your guts. I only bet 200 gold soul coins. Dean, I know you've always felt that Zhuqing and I haven't integrated into the academy, but now I'm slowly integrating. I'm betting everything on Tang San because I believe you'll win. Besides, you should know Tang San's strength better than I do. Not to mention his soul power is even higher than ours. If Tang San knew you only trusted him with a mere 200 gold soul coins, what would he think? He'd be disheartened. Xiaoqi's heartfelt words stunned Flanders. He suddenly felt like he'd been too cautious, but the soul duel was about to begin, and there was no way to place a bet. Tang San's soul duel progressed swiftly, easily knocking his opponent off the stage in just a few moves, securing victory. Xiaoqi happily won 1,500 gold soul coins. Dean, that's some easy money. I'll have to treat our classmate Tang San to a nice meal later. Compared to Xiaoqi's massive win, Flanders seemed a bit more modest. Just then, the host began introducing the next contestants. Let's welcome the next pair. Cat who loves spicy rabbit head and Xiao Wu. Xiaoqi burst out laughing, quickly covering his mouth. Cat who loves spicy rabbit head was the name he'd given Zhu Zhuqing. But now wasn't the time to laugh. He had to trick Flanders into betting his entire fortune on Zhu Zhuqing. Thanks to book friend 20241126111731766 for the tip. Thanks to Sunshine Orion for the tip. Thanks to Zionia who caught a cold for the tip. Thanks to the passersby who liked the novel for another tip. Thank you all for your support. Chapter 36. Flanders loses all his property. Dean, I'm going to win this soul duel against Zhuqing. What about you? Although it may not be very friendly to Xiao who is from the same academy, you saw the result of the competition this morning. Do you think Zhuqing will lose? Xiaoqi looked around pretentiously and whispered, Dean, don't forget that Zhuqing has that thing on her, and her soul power is one level higher than Xiao's. Isn't that a bad idea? After all, they are from the same academy. Flanders was obviously moved by what the other party said, but he was still a little embarrassed. Dean, you are stupid. You and I know about this. If you don't say it and I don't say it, who would know it? Besides, who are you winning the money for? It's to make the conditions for them in the academy better. If they know about this, they will not blame you, but will be moved by your spirit. Why did Zhuqing and I come all the way here to sign up when we knew Daimube was here? It's because of your name. Flanders was finally persuaded by Xiaoqi's sweet words. He took the other's arm and smiled. Xiaoqi, I did have some misunderstandings about you before. You are right. I do all this for the academy. Let's go and place a bet together. Xiaoqi felt disgusted in her heart, but she smiled on the surface. Okay, let's make a fortune together this time. After seeing Flanders place the bet, Xiaoqi took advantage of the other party's credentials to bet all the money on Xiao Wu, and then quickly sent a message to Zhu Zhuqing in the chat group asking her to play a beautiful fake match later. Elsewhere, Zhu Zhuqing saw Xiaoqi's message and immediately knew she was about to start another plot. She didn't care about the outcome of the spirit duel. A mere bunny was no match for her. She now had to think about how she was going to lose. Zhu Zhuqing, why did you choose that name? Xiao Wu, standing across from her, was in a very bad mood, her voice tinged with anger. Zhu Zhuqing, interrupted by her thoughts, looked at her and said coldly, I like to eat rabbits. My Xiaoqi likes to eat them too. What? Is that a problem for you, eh? Xiao Wu was speechless. She couldn't just tell her that her true form was a rabbit. How could she eat rabbits, so adorable? Even so, Xiao Wu remained stubborn, saying, I don't care. You're not allowed to use that name. Go register a new one later, then I'll still consider you a friend. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. I only lost you this morning because I was careless. That's why I'm not afraid of you, whatever. Zhu Zhuqing felt more and more that Xiao Wu was a little crazy. It was unbelievable that a name could break her defenses so much. But when she realized that the other party was a soul beast transformed into human, she felt relieved. After all, there was a fundamental difference between humans and beasts. She was also incredibly grateful to have joined the chat group and not continue to hang out with a gang like in the original novel. The host briefly introduced the two martial spirits and signaled that the battle of spirits could begin. Xiao Wu immediately unleashed her own martial spirit. Her boasts aside, Zhu Zhuqing's strength was evident. If she didn't take it seriously, she might lose instantly, just like she had that morning. Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuqing's advantage is her speed. When the competition begins, you must strike first, or you won't stand a chance. Xiao Wu, remembering Tang San's advice before going on stage, leaped towards Zhu Zhuqing. A hint of a sneer crossed Zhu Zhuqing's lips. While she would feign defeat in the final moments of this spirit duel, that didn't mean she wouldn't tease her along the way, teaching this foul-mouthed idiot a lesson. Strange. Even without the 7 treasures glazed pagoda's boost, why is Zhu Zhuqing so much slower than this morning? In the rest area, Tang San, his purple demon eyes activated, frowned at Zhu Zhuqing's performance on the spirit duel stage. Although she still dodged all of Xiao Wu's attacks, the speed Zhu Zhuqing displayed now was significantly slower than it had been this morning. Daimubei patted Tang San's shoulder and said with a smile, Xiao-san, I think Zhuqing doesn't want to hurt a friendship between classmates, so she's deliberately letting him win. Tang San didn't comment on Daimubei's words. He felt that his actions were a little unusual, but at the moment, he couldn't see what was wrong. If my purple demon pupil could be upgraded to the mustard seed realm, I should be able to see the abnormality. Ningrongrong looked at the two of them and sneered inwardly. What do you mean by deliberately letting him win? If Zhu Zhuqing hadn't been carrying a heavy load, this soul battle would have ended long ago. Oscar then approached Ningrongrong and asked with a flattering look on his face, Rongrong, you have the best relationship with Zhu Zhuqing. Do you think she is deliberately letting you win as boss? I said. Ningrongrong took 2 steps back and said coldly, Oscar, stay away from me in the future. I have no interest in you. If you have any further trouble, please call me Ningrongrong. Oscar opened his mouth to say I, but finally sighed and said dejectedly, I know, Xiao Wu. At this moment, Tang San, who was beside them, exclaimed in surprise and shifted his attention back to Ningrongrong on the fighting spirit stage. Seeing Xiao Wu lying on the ground, she cheered, Zhuqing is great, come on Zhuqing. Tang San turned his head to look at her and said coldly, Ningrongrong, shut up. Ningrongrong looked at her without any fear. She puffed out her chest and said, what? You are only allowed to cheer for Xiao Wu, but I am not allowed to cheer for Zhuqing. Tang San and Ningrongrong glared at each other. Daimubei, observing the tense situation, stepped forward to smooth things over, saying with a smile, all right. Xiao-san was just concerned about Xiao Wu. Don't damage the friendship between classmates, Xiao-san. Xiao Wu isn't seriously injured. Zhuqing should have used more control when she attacked. Minor injuries are normal in a fighting spirit. As Daimubei finished his words, the crowd watching the fight erupted in surprise. What happened? That girl was clearly in the lead. How could she suddenly collapse? Tang Sen, Daimyo Bei, Ning Rongrong, and the other Shrek students all turned their gazes towards the fighting spirit arena. They saw Zhu Zhuqing crouched there in agony, clutching her stomach. Because they hadn't witnessed the entire incident, they were baffled. What had happened in those brief seconds? Not only were Tang Sen and the others baffled, Xiao Wu, who had just risen from the ground, was even more bewildered. She was the one who had been beaten, so how could Zhu Zhuqing have collapsed? Xiao Wu looked at her and asked tentatively, Zhu Zhuqing, are you okay? Zhu Zhuqing stumbled to her feet, only to crouch down again, clutching her stomach in pain, and said word by word with difficulty, I forfeit. The host was also baffled by this scene, but since the other party had already forfeited, his professionalism dictated that he quickly step onto the fighting stage and loudly announce the result. The fighting ended with Xiao Wu's dramatic victory. Those who bet on Zhu Zhuqing to win cursed in the audience, while those who bet on Xiao Wu were filled with excitement. They didn't care about anything else, they only cared about the pile of gold soul coins they had won. The moment the host announced the result, Zhu Zhuqing simply collapsed on the fighting stage and pretended to be dead, even sending a message to Xiaoqi asking him to come to her quickly. With Zhu Zhuqing's voluntary resignation, Flanders' face was ashen. He was now a complete pauper. It's over. All my wealth is gone. Chapter 37, Xiuji's divine crossbow is nothing compared to the Beretta M92F pistol. Xiaoqi watched Flanders standing there, his expression dazed, almost laughing to his heart's content. He'd initially considered going over to comfort him, but after seeing Zhu Zhuqing's message, he decided to leave Flanders alone. Looking at the card in his hand that instantly transformed into 9,000 gold soul coins, Xiaoqi happily walked towards Zhu Zhuqing. Meanwhile, Ning Rongrong and the others, who were closer to the fighting arena, rushed towards it the moment the host announced the results. Xiao Wu looked at Zhu Zhuqing, who was still lying on the fighting arena, waving her hands in panic, and explained, Brother, I didn't do anything. I don't know why Zhu Zhuqing suddenly collapsed. Tang San caressed her hair lovingly and smiled, I believe you. As long as you're okay, that's all. Elsewhere, Ning Rongrong rushed to Zhu Zhuqing's side, squatted down, and said anxiously, Zhuqing, are you okay? Let me help you up first. At this moment, Daimyo Bei, feeling that his chance to show off had come, stepped forward and said, let me take her to the hospital for treatment. Ning Rongrong slapped away the hand reaching out to Zhu Zhuqing, blocking herself in front of her and glaring at her, saying, don't even think about touching Zhuqing. Xiaoqi is coming up soon. If you don't want to be beaten by him again, get out of here. Daimyo Bei's eyes were filled with coldness, and he said coldly, Ning Rongrong, don't be so shameless. Believe it or not, I will deal with you now. At this moment, a disdainful voice came from the distance, Daimyo Bei, then believe it or not, I will not make sure you survive this night. Ning Rongrong saw the person coming and said, Xiaoqi, come over and see Zhuqing. Xiaoqi smiled and said, Rongrong, I'm not a contestant, so I can't come in. Please help me get Zhuqing over here. Ning Rongrong had seen everything she had just done, and because of that, Xiaoqi began to truly accept her and treat her as a friend. Okay, Ning Rongrong smiled happily. This was the first time she had heard Xiaoqi call her that. However, Daimyo Bei, standing beside her, could no longer suppress his rage. A powerful aura surged, his soul power erupting instantly. Xiaoqi, do you really think I'm afraid of you? Ning Rongrong, nearly flung away by the force, was steadied by a hand. Before she could ask, Zhu Zhuqing whispered, don't say anything. Just pretend to support me, this contestant, the host said, stepping in front of Daimyo Bei. I don't care what grudges you have, but please remember, this is a fighting arena. Daimyo Bei looked at the host standing in front of him, slowly exhaled, and retracted his outward soul power. The power within the great fighting arena was very special. Even a real prince would have to show some respect and wouldn't easily cause trouble. Daimyo Bei glanced at Xiaoqi and said coldly, you're lucky this time. It won't be so easy next time. With these harsh words, he strode back into the rest area. Tang Sen, Xiao Wu, and Ma Hongjin followed Daimyo Bei back to the rest area. They still had their fighting spirits to fight, but they also preferred Xiaoqi to Daimyo Bei, given his more privileged status. Back in the rest area, Daimyo Bei looked at Oscar, who was still standing there, and shouted, Oscar, get over here. If you want women, I'll take you to find one later. You can have as many as you want. Ma Hongjin, standing nearby, His eyes lit up and he asked flatteringly, "Boss Dai, can you take me one? I'd love to try out the sisters, too." Dai Mubei replied generously, "Okay, it's my treat today. You can have as many as you want." Disgusting. Ning Rongrong's face was filled with disgust. Without even a glance at her, she supported Zhu Zhuqing and walked towards Xiaoqi. Rongrong, that's not the case. Oscar looked at Ning Rongrong's back, wanting to chase after her to explain, but he didn't dare, fearing another round of abuse. Ning Rongrong, arriving at the entrance, handed Zhu Zhuqing to Xiaoqi and eagerly asked, "What's going on between you and Zhuqing? We'll talk about this later. I'll treat you to a late-night snack," Xiaoqi said to Ning Rongrong with a smile. Then, looking at Zhu Zhuqing, she asked, "Do you want to walk on your own, or do you want me to help you?" Zhu Zhuqing smiled faintly and said, "I'm injured now. You can do whatever you want, okay? You've been a great help. I'll take good care of you today," Xiaoqi said, carrying Zhu Zhuqing on her back. After walking a few steps, she said, "Zhuqing, would you consider losing some weight at the late-night snack stall?" Ning Rongrong almost cried after hearing Xiaoqi's story about how she had tricked Flanders. She was puzzled as to how Zhu Zhuqing had lost to Xiao Wu. So, that was the problem. "Xiaoqi, you are so mean. You can think of such a shady trick. It's a pity that I didn't see the expression on Flanders' face at that time. When I was in the sect, everyone called me a little witch, but compared to you, I think I am still too kind." Zhu Zhuqing didn't expect Xiaoqi to cheat Flanders so badly, but she grasped another key point and stretched out her hand and said, "Give it to me." Xiaoqi looked at the other party and said in confusion, "What do you want?" Zhu Zhuqing said, "The money you just won. Men will become bad when they have money. I will buy you whatever you want." Xiaoqi took out a card and handed it to Zhu Zhuqing and said with a smile, "Here, it's useless for me to keep these." Zhu Zhuqing smiled with satisfaction when she saw the other party handing the money to her so readily. What she wanted was an attitude from the other party. When the three of them were almost done eating, Xiaoqi pretended to reach inside her clothes, then placed a Beretta M92F pistol and a box of ammunition on the table. She then looked at Ning Rongrong and said, "Rongrong, this thing's called a pistol. You can think of it as a self-defense weapon. As for its power, I doubt anyone below the Soul King level would be able to withstand it without warning." He hadn't used it before, but in the original novel, Tang San's Laozi's huge divine crossbow could instantly kill a soul master in a surprise attack. A pistol's power was undoubtedly far greater than this huge divine crossbow's, so calling it Soul King level might be a bit of an understatement. "Is this thing so powerful?" Ning Rongrong picked up the black lump on the table and examined it. Aside from its coolness, she didn't notice anything special about it. However, out of trust in Xiaoqi, she believed her words. "Rongrong, don't point the gun at yourself." Xiaoqi took the pistol back, loaded it, and said with a smile, "We'll know if it's powerful after we try it out." As a child, he had only played with imitation pistols, and he still longed to play with real guns. It's just that he hadn't had the opportunity before. But now, Xiaoqi noticed a shady figure not far ahead of them, following a woman. "I think there's someone suitable for us to test the power of this pistol. Come on, let's follow him." Chapter 38 Ning Rongrong loves playing with pistols. "It's him." Zhu Zhuqing recognized the man's identity from the mirror side of his profile. It was none other than Buli, the man who had brutally assaulted Ma Hongjin and then been beaten up by Xiao Wu in the original novel. Xiaoqi and the other two followed Buli into a secluded alley within the city. Focused on following the voluptuous woman before him, Buli didn't notice he was being followed. Damn, she looked nice from behind, but I didn't expect she was a prostitute. What a curse. Buli knew the area well. Just past the entrance was a street of prostitutes, and the woman, walking in that direction late at night, clearly belonged to that establishment. Buli instantly lost interest in approaching and harassing her. Such women were too cheap for his taste. Just as he turned to look for other targets, Xiaoqi and the other two appeared before him. Holy crap! What a beauty! Buli's eyes lit up at the sight of Zhu Zhuqing's voluptuous figure. Ning Rongrong's sweet appearance, while normally a top-notch beauty, paled in comparison to Zhu Zhuqing. Buli looked at Xiaoqi and said, "Boy, let go of that girl in black and let me take over." Xiaoqi was stunned. Shouldn't he have been the one to say that line? Why was he now the villain? Buli looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, "Beautiful lady, uncle will come to save you right now. Wait for me." As he finished speaking, 4 spirit rings, white, yellow, purple, and purple, appeared at his feet. Zhu Zhuqing, wrong, cover your ears, Xiaoqi said, raising her pistol at Bully and pulling the trigger. The next second, a series of bangs echoed through the quiet alley. This, Linglong was speechless as she watched Bully, lying in a pool of blood, seemingly deader than dead. Zhu Zhuqing, on the other side, was fine. Her current level of resilience was far superior to Linglong's. However, as they drew closer and saw the holes pierced through Bully's body, the image of the blood splattering suddenly flashed back to her mind. With a churned wow, Linglong vomited. Zhu Zhuqing, influenced by Linglong's reaction, also began to vomit. Hey, you two, watching the two women vomiting, Xiaoqi couldn't hold it in any longer and joined them in vomiting. Besides wanting to test the power of the pistol, he also wanted to test his courage. Xiaoqi knew he would inevitably have to kill someone in the future. Rather than being unable to do it in the crucial moment, it would be better to get used to it today. Killing someone like Bully would also be much easier. He had originally considered relying on his own willpower to persevere, but the feeling of killing someone was unpleasant in itself, not to mention the horrific manner in which Bully died. He had just fired all 15 rounds of ammunition at once. After a short pause, Xiaoqi approached the two women and said, "Are you two feeling better? Let's get out of here first," Linglong said palely. "Zhuqing, could you help me up? I'm still feeling a little unwell." Zhu Zhuqing nodded. She had recovered faster than Linglong. She had seen dead people before, but this was the first time she had seen such a tragic death. The three of them went to a tea house that was still open and ordered 3 bowls of tea to rinse their mouths. I feel much more comfortable now." Xiaoqi breathed a sigh of relief, took out the pistol again and put it in Linglong's hand, saying, "Linglong, this gun is given to you for self-defense. It is very simple to use. I will teach you later, but remember to be cautious when using it. The muzzle can only be pointed at the enemy." Linglong held the pistol carefully, stood up and bowed deeply to Xiaoqi. "Thank you, this thing is extremely precious to me. If you need it in the future, just let me know, and I, Linglong, will never say no." After what happened just now, Linglong knew that the value of this pistol was at least 1,000 gold coins, or even 10,000 gold coins. Xiaoqi said with a smile, "Have you learned to be polite to me now? Weren't you very familiar when you came to talk to me on the first day?" Linglong stuck out her tongue and smiled. After sitting down again, she began to play with the pistol. Suddenly she looked at Xiaoqi and said, "Xiaoqi, how many pistols like this do you have on you?" "How many?" The expression on Xiaoqi's face was as weird as it could be. He really wanted to tell the other party that civilized people always say the number of pistols they have, so you can ask me how many I have. Linglong, believing she'd misspoken, quickly explained, "Don't misunderstand. I won't let you give it away for free. I mean, I want to buy it from you. This item is very important to our sect, and you can name your price." Xiaoqi grumbled, "Do you think this thing is just a piece of cake? It's the only one I have. I wouldn't give it to you if I weren't afraid you'd be bullied by others while Zhu Zhuqing and I were gone tomorrow. Also, I have to remind you that you can't tell anyone about the gun I'm giving you for now, not even your father. Otherwise, we'll all be friends." If he wanted a gun, it would be easy. He could even get a bazooka or a cannon. But he wouldn't give it away so easily. Linglong could trust him for now, but who knew if Fengzi, that old fox, saw it and planned to take advantage of Zhu Zhuqing when he wasn't around? "Where are you and Zhu Zhuqing going tomorrow? Are you leaving?" Linglong panicked at this, completely forgetting about the pistol. "Zhu Zhuqing and I are going to run some errands tomorrow. Don't worry, we'll be back in a day. You go to the academy by yourself tomorrow. Tell Flanders that Zhu Zhuqing's family has found us. He won't ask any questions." This was the best excuse he could come up with. It would also scare Daimyo Bei. "Your Starluo Empire people are here, so we're asking if you're panicking?" Linglong nodded and said, "I understand. You must come back." She wasn't worried about their safety. Xiaoqi was there, nothing would happen. Her only concern was that the two of them would abandon her and run away. Xiaoqi said, "Don't worry. Okay, it's getting late. I'll teach you how to use the pistol, and then you can try it yourself." Linglong had a pretty good learning ability and quickly mastered the pistol. When the three of them reached a deserted spot, Linglong fired her first shot, though her accuracy still needed improvement. Firing a pistol is so hard. Linglong looked disheartened at her ridiculously off target. She had clearly aimed before firing. Wrong, could you change the wording? Like shooting or something? He had a feeling the other party was playing dirty, but he had no evidence. Did I say something wrong? Linglong winked at Xiaoqi with a silly look on her face and continued, Xiaoqi, could you teach me the correct way to shoot a pistol again? I think there was something wrong with my posture just now, so I couldn't aim. Puff. Linglong was driving too fast for Xiaoqi to keep up. Chapter 39, Pirate World, Group Members Meet. Linglong's marksmanship was truly difficult for Xiaoqi to describe. She always missed by a body length, and Xiaoqi suddenly felt that firing a real gun might not be her forte. So, Xiaoqi simply instructed Linglong to wait until the opponent got close before firing. That way, if she missed again, there would be nothing she could do. After the three of them returned to the Rose Hotel, Xiaoqi asked in the group chat what time Nami would return to Kokoja village the next morning, then prepared to say goodbye to Zhu Zhuqing and return to her own world. However, Zhu Zhuqing tugged at his shirt and asked shyly, Xiaoqi, can you stay here tonight? Hearing this request, Xiaoqi was first dazed, then nervous, and even a little excited. Saiyans also like women, not to mention a beauty like Zhu Zhuqing. Xiaoqi pretended to be calm and said, Zhuqing, isn't this too fast? It's my first time. I'm not prepared. Zhu Zhuqing rolled her eyes at him. Look, is this even human language? It's your first time, but it's not mine. Moreover, you don't even express anything to me and you want to rush to this step? Do you think you are the Saiyan Prince Vegeta and I am Bulma? You men only think about those things in your brain all day long. What I mean is that you stay here, you sleep outside and I sleep inside, and we will go to Nami's place together tomorrow morning. So that's how it is. How careless. Xiaoqi now wanted to dig a big hole in the floor with her toes and bury herself in it. This was too social. Go to bed early tonight. Good night, Zhu Zhuqing said, heading for her room. When she reached the door, she paused, her back to Xiaoqi. Don't sneak into my room tonight. I'm not ready yet. Xiaoqi had reason to suspect Zhu Zhuqing was deliberately retaliating. If that's what she thought, then at least close the door properly. What's the point of leaving it ajar? Is this a way to test the officers? Just as Xiaoqi was lost in thought, a rustling sound from Zhu Zhuqing's room completely drew his attention. What is Zhu Zhuqing doing now? Changing clothes and taking a shower. Should I go take a look? No. I'm an upright and kind Saiyan. I wouldn't do something as dirty as peeking. If I have to, I'll do it openly from now on. Growing increasingly irritated, Xiaoqi decided to take a cold shower to calm himself and then go to bed. He didn't even want to wait for the points calculation at midnight tonight. Zhu Zhuqing, clad only in her underwear, smiled at the sound of running water in the bathroom outside. Her affection for Xiaoqi grew stronger. If it were a man like Ma Hongjin or Dime Yubei, they would have rushed in long ago. However, Zhu Zhuqing was now beginning to feel anxious. The Shrek story quest would eventually end, and she and Xiaoqi would be worlds apart. Unless she triggered the next story quest, but with the current plot constantly changing, Zhu Zhuqing worried that many of the future storylines wouldn't happen again, and then she wouldn't be able to see Xiaoqi again. Another option was a lottery. Xiaoqi had previously mentioned that there might be a time travel card in the prize pool. If she won one, it wouldn't matter if she didn't trigger the story quest. I have to earn more points. Thinking of this, Zhu Zhuqing secretly resolved that anyone who dared to interfere with her earning points would be her enemy, a life or death struggle. How could this guy shower so quickly? Zhu Zhuqing glanced through the crack in the door at Xiaoqi, who had finished showering and was lying on the sofa outside. She expected him to start chatting in the group chat, but after glancing at the chat room, she saw no sign of Xiaoqi speaking. This idiot, Zhu Zhuqing cursed with a laugh, then stripped off her underwear, revealing a torrid figure that would make men drool and women envious, and walked into the bathroom. The next morning, Xiaoqi, who went to bed and rose early, woke up and first checked yesterday's points. Zhu Zhuqing's excellent performance had earned her 8,000 points, while he only had 5,000. Seeing it was only a little after 6 o'clock, Xiaoqi decided to go out for a run, then have breakfast and wait for Nami's call. Just as he was getting up and about to wash up, Zhu Zhuqing emerged from her room. Good morning. Did you sleep well last night? Xiaoqi nodded and smiled. Fine. I'm going for a run after I wash up. Join us." Zhu Zhuqing had already changed into her tight leather jacket and pants, clearly having gotten up earlier than Xiaoqi. "Okay," Zhu Zhuqing nodded in agreement. Xiaoqi quickly washed up and then began her morning run with Zhu Zhuqing. They both still wore weights, but they wouldn't wear them when they went to the pirate world later. The hour-long pirates weren't much of a threat in the Grand Line, but they were still the pirate group with the highest bounty in the East China Sea. They weren't ready to go anywhere without a carefree attitude just yet. It's true that food tastes best after exercise. After grabbing a full breakfast at the breakfast shop, Xiaoqi and Zhu Zhuqing returned to the hotel and waited for Nami's call. Xiaoqi had wanted to tell Linglong to keep a low profile, but after knocking on the door for a long time with no response, she assumed they had already gone to Shrek Academy. When it was a little after 9 a.m., Nami informed everyone in the chat group that everything was arranged and sent out an invitation reminder. "Brother, I finally see you alive. Ha ha ha, kekeks you. Why is Jin-san the shortest man here? Has Jin-san's body started to shrink so early?" As soon as Xiaoqi appeared, she heard Sakuragi Hanamichi's excited voice and Sakata Gintoki's complaints. Compared to the noisy and boisterous men, the three women were much quieter. "Hello, Sisters Zhuqing, I'm Linglong. I'm Nami. Welcome Sisters Zhuqing to my world." "Hello." Zhu Zhuqing nodded softly to the two women. Xiaoqi looked at the two men in front of her and smiled. "Sakuragi, you really look the funniest with a buzz cut. Jin-san, your dead fish eyes." "Ha ha ha, sorry, I really can't help it." Sakata Gintoki pinched his nose and said casually, "Xiaoqi, you're still young and don't understand. Jin-san has captured the hearts of countless girls with those eyes." "Sometimes Jin-san is really troubled," Xiaoqi said unhappily. "Come on, normal girls prefer my style, right, brother? I think you're more handsome too." Sakuragi Hanamichi praised at the right time, but then put his hands on his hips and laughed. "But you're still a little worse than this genius." "Ha ha ha." Nami, who couldn't stand the three men's boasting, angrily came up to them and shouted, "You three, that's enough. I didn't ask you to come here for a beauty pageant. Get back to your work, you bastards." Thanks to book friend 20,240,929,292,740 for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend Liu Minghao HG for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow reader Huan Xingchen for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow reader 20240301201722139 for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow reader Love Novels, Passerby for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow reader Time Traveler Gubisi for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow reader 20181215000157290 for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow reader 20221209205747495 for the monthly ticket. Chapter 40, Kill the Dragon and Kill the Rats. Nami's bare teeth instantly stopped the three grown men in their tracks. Sakuragi Hanamichi's personality was just that, while Sakata Gintoki was used to it. As for Xiaoqi, he turned his gaze to Zhu Zhuqing. As the saying goes, there's no harm without comparison. Nami and Zhu Zhuqing's personalities were diametrically opposed. If Xiaoqi had to choose, he would have chosen Zhu Zhuqing without hesitation. Nami's personality was somewhat unacceptable to him. Seeing the three of them calm down, Nami nodded in satisfaction. Then she looked at Zhu Zhuqing and smiled. "Zhuqing, see? This is how men should be raised. If it weren't for the fact that this was our first meeting, I would have hit you with my fist." Zhu Zhuqing said nothing. She could occasionally show some temper, but it was difficult for her to do it like Nami. Linglong, standing nearby, covered her mouth with her hand and smiled. She looked at Sakata Gintoki and said, "Jin-san, how do you like my outfit today?" She was still wearing the same white bear t-shirt and blue denim shorts. Upon hearing this, Sakata Gintoki instantly switched back to his frivolous mode. "Linglong, you look exactly like Jin-san's first love, but you can say there's no difference." "Jin-san, I feel like I'm in love all over again." Linglong desperately tried to stifle her laughter and continued, "If I'm your first love, then what about Nami-chan? After all, when you joined the group, you said your favorite person was Nami." Sakata Gintoki quickly replied, "Nami-chan was Jin-san's first lover. Jin-san was very philanthropic when he was young." Bang! Nami slammed her iron fist into Sakata Gintoki's head, angrily shouting, "Who's your lover, you bastard?" "Ha ha ha, Jin-san, you're so funny." Linglong couldn't hold back her laughter any longer. Zhu Zhuqing, standing beside her, curled her lips slightly, revealing a smile. Kekexu, I told you Jin-san isn't for fun. If you want to, Jin-san can play some adult games with you guys, Sakata Gintoki muttered softly, holding his head. Well, let's first discuss how to deal with the Arlong pirates, Xiaoqi felt the need to remind them. He felt that if they continued playing around, a whole day wouldn't be enough for them. He was already itching to do something. Oh, I almost forgot, Nami exclaimed. She had just been misled by someone. She glared at Sakata Gintoki and said angrily, it's all your fault, you damn dead-eyed, white-haired idiot. Xiaoqi's mouth twitched. Poor Sakata Gintoki had just earned a new nickname. After some discussion, they finally decided that Captain Arlong of the Arlong Pirates and his 3 officers would be assigned to Xiaoqi and Sakata Gintoki, while Linglong and Zhu Zhuqing would deal with the remaining crew members. The 2 women were also responsible for protecting Nami and Sakuragi Hanamichi. Nami led the way. Xiaoqi was completely excited at this moment. The previous battle with Zhao Wuji had been nothing more than a joke. Zhao Wuji hadn't even used his full strength, and the fight between him and Zhu Zhuqing was just a friendly exchange. But the upcoming battle was different. This was a true life-or-death struggle, and it was also the perfect opportunity to test his current strength. Led by Nami, they quickly arrived at the Arlong Pirates base, Arlong Park. Linglong looked at the 2 fishmen of unknown species guarding the entrance to Arlong Park and said, leave these 2 to me and Sister Zhuqing. Don't fight over them. Sakuragi Hanamichi watched as the 2 fishmen were easily dispatched and exclaimed, you 2 are amazing. This is way better than my usual fighting skills. Xiaoqi smiled and said, Sakuragi, killing someone is completely different from your usual fights, and their opponents are too weak. The 2 guards were just ordinary fishmen, not particularly powerful. Moreover, the fishmen's greatest strength lies in underwater combat. On land, they are at best slightly stronger than ordinary people. Linglong looked at Zhu Zhuqing and smiled. Sister Zhuqing, you're quite skilled. Zhu Zhuqing shook her head and said modestly, I'm far behind you. Xiaoqi and Sakata Gintoki walked to the gate and exchanged glances. The next second, they both kicked the wooden gate in unison, sending it flying. The commotion startled the Arlong pirates, who were feasting inside. Their eyes blazed with uncontrollable fury at the sudden intrusion of 6 men. A jagged shark-like figure with a sharp, serrated nose, perched on a wicker chair, said, ha 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 ha, I was wondering who it was. It's Nami. It's been a while since we last met, and you seem to have forgotten the rules here. Jin-san, I'll give you the 3 officers. Show yourselves, Xiaoqi said, charging straight at Arlong. He didn't bother to argue. Sakata Gintoki, reacting, cursed, damn it. You're so unsportsmanlike. Get back here, you bastard. Arlong and the rest of the Arlong pirates were also unprepared for such a direct attack. By the time they realized what was happening, Xiaoqi had already reached him. Arlong, still reclining on the wicker chair, was immediately struck with a punch, sending him flying. Brother Arlong, seeing their leader being beaten, all the members of the Arlong pirates drew their weapons and rushed towards Xiaoqi. Sakata Gintoki drew the wooden sword with the word Lake Toa engraved on it from his waist and blocked the fishman's way. He said with an unhappy look on his face, hey, you guys with points shouldn't ignore Jin-san's existence. Linglong walked over and smiled. Jin-san, it's wrong to eat alone. Your opponents are these 3. The others are me and Takakinayo. Elsewhere, the members of the Arlong pirates, who were being divided up like prey, were furious. One of the leaders, Kirby, said, let Brother Arlong deal with that man just now. Let's deal with this white-haired guy first. He doesn't look like a good guy, asshole. Why is Jin-san not a good guy? Sakata Gintoki was furious. It was okay to be teased by the girls in the chat group, but after all, they were all more beautiful than the other. But now he was actually despised by a stinky fish. How could he, nicknamed White Night Demon, tolerate this? At this moment, he no longer had the playful look he had before, and his expression suddenly became serious. Jin-san has decided that we will start with you, the fish. At the same time, Xiaoqi, who had been fighting with Eren, was getting more and more frightened. It was not because of how strong Eren was that frightened him. On the contrary, he felt that Eren seemed a little weak. The opponent's attack seemed to have slowed down several times in his eyes, and he could see countless flaws in the opponent's movements. With a loud bang, Aaron's body flew backwards again and hit the wall directly. Xiaoqi looked at Aaron lying on the ground and the huge dent on the wall and suddenly realized that it was not that Aaron was too weak, but that he had become stronger. Aaron rose from the ground and wiped the blood from his mouth, his eyes now bloodshot. Human, whatever your motives, you've now completely angered me. Their murlocs possessed physical prowess many times greater than that of humans. Although Xiaoqi's punch had injured him slightly, it was nothing to him, and instead fueled his ferocity. Facing Aaron's charge, Xiaoqi's lips curled slightly. With a light leap, he dodged the blow and launched a fierce attack. From his movements to his punches and kicks, Xiaoqi imitated Kakarot's fighting style. This was the fastest way for him to improve without any guidance. Of course, he also put his aerial dance and kick and wave skills into practice to gain experience. Poor Aaron still hadn't realized how he had become Xiaoqi's level-up experience. He simply couldn't understand how a mere human could possess such formidable power, even using moves he had never seen before on the Grand Line. "Who are you?" Aaron was panting at this moment. His nose, which he was so proud of, was bent by the other party, and his body was covered with fist marks. Xiaoqi looked at Aaron and smiled. "As you can see, I am just an ordinary human being. My name is Sakata Gintoki." Chapter 41 Kill the Dragon and Kill the Rats. "Stop kidding. How could an ordinary person have your strength?" Aaron roared, his face stern as he glared at Xiaoqi. "Sakata Gintoki, no matter who you are, I'm going to kill you today." Sakata Gintoki, who had already defeated Kruby and was currently engaged in a battle with Hachi, froze. He found this rather unexpected. Why had that stinking fish suddenly vented all his anger on him? Was it really because he was so handsome? However, he didn't have time to dwell on it. He had to quickly finish Hachi before him and then deal with the last cadre. If he was any later, he'd be crushed by Linglong and Zhu Zhuqing, the two girls who would have been his points. Despite his fierce words, Aaron hesitated to attack. He knew he was no match for the enemy on land. His only recourse now was the nearby pool of water connected to the sea. If he could get into the water, leveraging his inherent advantages as a murloc, he would surely be able to defeat the enemy. "Sakata Gintoki, you're probably here for Nami, right? If you want her, I can give her to you and we'll leave right away." Arlong tried to distract him with words, inching his body towards the pool. Xiaoqi, noticing Arlong's subtle movements, instantly understood his intention. He wasn't about to let him escape into the water, it was just a distraction, making it seem like anyone wouldn't. "Ah!" Xiaoqi screamed, pointing behind Arlong and shouting, "Jinbei, why are you here?" "What?" Arlong paused at the name and turned to look behind him. However, there was no Jinbei in sight. Realizing he'd been tricked, Arlong didn't have time to curse before Xiaoqi, who had already approached, began to beat him violently. Arlong's experience pack was now worthless to him. After a brutal beating, Xiaoqi punched him through the chest, ending Arlong's life. Xiaoqi walked over to Sakata Gintoki and said with a smile, "Jin-san, I see you're having a hard time. Do you want me to help you?" Sakata Gintoki said anxiously, "This octopus is Jin-san's points. You're not allowed to compete with him for it, then keep your best efforts. I'll go check on the others. Remember to leave his body intact. It'll be useful later." He had simply come to tease him. In his eyes, Hachi's strength was no longer impressive and wouldn't improve him in any way. Elsewhere, the members of the Dragon Pirates had been wiped out by Linglong and Zhu Zhuqing. The only one left alive was the cadre, Zhu, who was breathing more than he was breathing. Xiaoqi burst into laughter when she learned the reason Linglong and Zhu Zhuqing had for not killing each other. The two women were disgusted by each other's appearance, otherwise, they would have taken the head long ago. "Brother, I want to try." Sakuragi Hanamichi, knife in hand, was itching to make a move. He and Nami were the only ones who hadn't killed anyone. Nami was a girl, so that was fine, but he was a man. Xiaoqi thought for a moment and said, "Sakuragi, I personally think you're better suited to being a basketball player. Killing people is a little premature for you." Xiaoqi didn't want Sakuragi's hands to be stained with blood. He preferred that he remain as innocent as in the original story. Sakuragi nodded and said, "I'll listen to you, big brother." Nami then took the knife from Sakuragi and said, "Let me do it. I hope I can make a difference." This time, Xiaoqi didn't object. Nami's situation was completely different from Sakuragi's. The pirate world is inherently a world of the survival of the fittest. If you don't kill, you'll likely be killed by others. He felt that since you're a pirate, it makes sense not to kill pirates. Luffy's aura was purely due to his protagonist's aura. Otherwise, with the Straw Hat Pirates' habit of only defeating their enemies instead of killing them, they would have died countless times. Nami walked up to Jiu, took a deep breath, and said, "You've been ravaging our village for so long. Today, I will personally avenge all those who have died and those you've harmed." As Nami finished speaking, the knife in her hand struck the man's heart. Nami, having killed someone for the first time, trembled slightly as she looked at Jiu's body lying on the ground. Linglong and Zhu Zhuqing approached her and began to comfort her. Not long after, Sakata Gintoki, who had dealt with Xiaoqi, walked over to them. When he saw Zhu's body, he was immediately unhappy. "Who is it, who stole Jin-san's points?" Xiaoqi stretched out his hand and pointed at Nami, and said, "A brave woman who is willing to give everything for her village, is that so?" Sakata Gintoki nodded, then smiled and said, "As expected of Jin-san's Nami-chan, Jin-san, I am the most." However, Nami interrupted him before he finished speaking. "Who is your Nami-chan, bastard?" After a fight among them, Xiaoqi looked at everyone and said, "Although the evil dragon gang has been dealt with, there is still a trouble that has not been solved. Nami, Linglong and Zhuqing, you guys go trail along and find out all the money he has squeezed from you over the years. Jin-san, Sakuragi and I will sort out the bodies of these fishmen. We will go to the 16th branch of the Navy, Colonel Mouse, to exchange money later." Upon hearing the mention of money, Nami instantly forgot about the murder she had just committed. Her eyes suddenly turned into $sign and she said, "I'll go now." Not long after, Nami, Linglong, and Zhu Zhuqing each returned with a bag of treasure. Xiaoqi and the others had already packed up the bodies of several murlocs that could be exchanged for money. The only valuable members of the Arlong pirates were Arlong and his 3 officers, the others were worthless. Xiaoqi said, "Nami, have the villagers take care of the others' bodies." Nami nodded and said, "Okay, I'll tell them what happened here later." She had returned this morning without alerting anyone, intending to tell them after she had defeated Arlong's gang. On their way to Nami's hiding place on the Mary, they happened to run into Nami's sister, Nakiko, and Aegean, the man who wanted to be their stepfather. They were surprised to see Nami return to Kokoja village and were even more stunned when they saw the bodies of Arlong and his men. Nami briefly addressed them, telling them to go to Arlong Park and dispose of the fishmen's bodies. She would provide details upon her return. Just as everyone boarded the Mary and prepared to set sail for the 16th Marine Branch, a naval vessel approached Kokoja village. Xiaoqi glanced at the figure aboard the vessel through her binoculars and smiled. "What a coincidence. We didn't even have to go looking for him, this rat just showed up on its own." "Everyone, begin the rat extermination." The pitiful rat commander never understood why someone in Kokoja village would come to kill him. Wasn't this the territory of the Arlong pirates? Aren't the villagers afraid to resist? He'd just come a day early on a whim to collect protection money, and ended up dying tragically here. Finally, Xiaoqi used a Kamehameha to send the naval vessel, carrying the rat commander and the bodies of the other sailors, to the bottom of the ocean. After completing their mission, Sakata Gintoki started clamoring to take a ride on the Mary. So, they went to the 16th branch of the Navy to exchange the bodies of the Arlong group for a bounty as they had discussed before. On the Mary, Sakata Gintoki, standing on the bow of the ship's head ship, imitated Luffy and shouted, "Pirate King!" However, Gintoki's happiness was very short-lived. After the Mary sailed on the sea for a while, our Gintoki began to feel seasick. Ugh! Sakata Gintoki, who held on to the railing, sacrificed the essence of his body to the sea again, and collapsed on the deck and said weakly, "Kakeksu, how could this happen? Gintoki is the man who is going to become the Pirate King." If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42 Nami, want to see? Elsewhere, Nami took Linglong, Zhu Zhuqing, and Xiaoqi on a tour of the Mary's cabin. Xiaoqi, now it's time for the 3 of us girls to have a private chat. You can go up on deck and keep Jin-san and Sakuragi company. Xiaoqi looked at Nami unhappily and said, "You're playing the old trick of killing the donkey after it's done with its work, huh?" "Okay, you wait for me," Nami asked, confused. "What donkey to kill?" Where's the donkey? Linglong, standing nearby, chuckled. Nami, kill the donkey after it's done with its work is an idiom we use over here. It means that once you've achieved your goal, you kick the person away. Zhu Zhuqing then said, Xiaoqi, I'll keep you company. Ever since she arrived here, she'd been constantly surrounded by Nami and Linglong, never even having a chance to properly talk to Xiaoqi. Xiaoqi smiled and said, no need, you three girls can have fun. I'll go see if that white-haired guy is dead. Xiaoqi returned to the deck alone and saw that Sakata Gintoki was still lying there like a dead fish. However, Sakuragi Hanamichi's behavior was a little strange. Sakuragi Hanamichi, who had never known what learning was now reading a book seriously. Can you believe it? Isn't that one of those colored books? Curious, Xiaoqi stepped forward and asked, Sakuragi, what are you reading? Brother, I'm reading basketball rules. When school starts, I'm going to crush that stinky fox Rokaki under my feet. Sakuragi Hanamichi looked up at Xiaoqi and smiled, but then said with a sad face, but the stuff in here is so difficult. I can't understand it at all. Touched by Sakuragi's spirit, Xiaoqi sat down beside him and said, although I'm not very good at basketball, I do know a few rules. I'll explain anything you don't understand. Sakuragi Hanamichi suddenly perked up and looked at Xiaoqi and asked, brother, what is offside? You mean, offside refers to the offensive player. Wait, Xiaoqi, who was getting more and more confused, suddenly realized that offside is a rule in football. What does it have to do with basketball rules? Xiaoqi took the book from Sakuragi Hanamichi's hand and flipped through the pages. Wow, it was all about football rules. Sakuragi, who gave you this book? Sakuragi Hanamichi smiled and said, Takemiya gave it to me. He said that as long as I can understand everything in it, I can become the god of basketball. Xiaoqi understood everything at once. Sakuragi was tricked by his Sakuragi army again. After learning the truth, Sakuragi Hanamichi tore the book to pieces and cursed, damn Takemiya, he actually played tricks on a genius like me. I will kill him when I get back. Xiaoqi patted him on the shoulder and said, Sakuragi, my previous thoughts may have been a bit hasty. I think you should start playing basketball directly after you go back. Maybe that will suit you better. As for where to learn your basketball skills, you can watch an anime called Kuroko's Basketball. The perfect imitation card I gave you is from a skill in that anime. Xiaoqi now felt that instead of letting Sakuragi Hanamichi learn some basketball rules that are more difficult for him first, it would be better to let him slowly understand them through competitions later. Sakuragi Hanamichi nodded and smiled. Okay, big brother. I'll activate the monthly subscription once I get the points from this mission. Xiaoqi smiled. Keep going. I believe you can become the basketball god of your world. Meanwhile, Nami and the other two girls were chatting about Xiaoqi. Linglong and Nami exchanged a glance, then looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, Zhuqing, do you like Xiaoqi? No, we're just pretending to be a couple. Zhu Zhuqing denied it, but her explanation seemed so weak to the other two girls. Nami's eyes flickered with a sly smile, and she said, is that so? Then I can pursue him without worry. He and I are a good match in age? Linglong smiled. What a coincidence. I've got that plan too, Nami. We're going to be rivals from now on. No way. Zhu Zhuqing was furious. They were actually trying to steal Xiaoqi from her. How could this be allowed? Linglong possessed a sweet and adorable appearance, and her figure rivaled hers. Although Nami hadn't fully grown yet, Xiaoqi and Sakata Gintoki had always said that Nami would be a goddess-like beauty in 2 years. Zhu Zhuqing, realizing she was acting a little too nervous, quickly explained, Sakata Gintoki really likes you too. He'll be sad if you do this. Linglong and Nami both laughed. Linglong said, Sister Zhuqing, you don't really think Jin-san likes me and Nami, do you? Nami gritted her teeth and said, that dead-eyed, white-haired guy is just after me, but I won't let him get away with it. Linglong and Nami, flanking Zhu Zhuqing, laughed. Sister Zhuqing, if you don't tell the truth, Nami, Linglong, and I will really take action against Xiaoqi. Kakoja village wasn't far from the 16th Naval Branch Base. After the Mary had been steaming at full speed for over 2 hours, the base's presence was visible on the deck. Since the Straw Hat Pirates flag was flying on the Mary, even though they didn't have a bounty on their head, they were still pirates after all. So Xiaoqi asked the others to wait here while he flew to the naval base to collect the bounty. Kakexu, Jin-san also wants to fly. Why am I the only one who is seasick? Nami looked at Sakata Gintoki, who was lying on the ground with a bad temper, and said, "You still want to become the Pirate King like this? I think his man is more like the Pirate King." Ha ha ha. Nami's words caused laughter from everyone present. Sakata Gintoki wanted to cry and said, "Nami-chan, how can you say that to Jin-san? Jin-san only has you in his heart." Linglong walked to Sakata Gintoki's side, squatted down, stretched out her hand to poke the other's face, and smiled. "Jin-san, I was a little moved when I saw your heroic figure, but since Jin-san likes Nami so much in his heart, I can only withdraw silently." "Jin-san, come on, I'm rooting for you." No, no, no. Linglong, listen to Jin-san's explanation. Jin-san can love both of you together. Sakata Gintoki's struggling appearance once again caused the girls to laugh. Putting aside other things, Sakata Gintoki did bring them a lot of joy. Half an hour later, Xiaoqi returned to the Mary, carrying a bag of Baileys. Nami rushed over to her upon seeing the money. "Xiaoqi, thank you for your hard work. This money is so heavy, I'll help you carry it." Xiaoqi smiled. "Okay, then I'll leave it to you." Nami wondered at Xiaoqi's smile. This guy had just told her to wait, and now he was so ready to give her all this money. Could it be fake? Nami hurriedly checked the Baileys in the bag. She counted them, and there were 38.5 million Baileys, not a single one of them counterfeit. Nami looked at Xiaoqi again and asked, "Are you really just giving me all this money so readily?" Without asking for anything, Xiaoqi chuckled. "What do you think I want from you? How about a luxury alabaster bathroom package?" Zhu Zhuqing saw the familiar smile on Xiaoqi's face and knew immediately that this villain must have done something to trick Nami again. "Dream on." Nami angrily threw down these words and turned away. What a bullshit bathroom luxury package. Did she really think she didn't know about this plot? However, after she took a few steps, she suddenly turned her head and looked at Xiaoqi with a beautiful smile. "You can watch it if you want, but you have to add points." Chapter 43, Revealing One's Feelings. On the way back to Kokoja village, Zhu Zhuqing finally freed herself from the entanglement of Nami and Linglong. She and Xiaoqi stood at the bow of the boat, admiring the ocean view. "Did you do anything to trick Nami when you went to redeem the bounty just now?" Xiaoqi quickly covered the other person's mouth, glancing around to make sure no one was paying attention. Then, she let go and whispered, "Zhuqing, you can't tell her about this, or it won't be fun." Zhu Zhuqing rolled her eyes and said, "If I had said what I wanted to say, I wouldn't have asked you about this. But what about that alabaster bathroom deluxe package? I was just kidding." Xiaoqi initially tried to laugh it off, but under Zhu Zhuqing's intimidating gaze, she finally had to tell her the story. Even if she didn't tell, Zhu Zhuqing could still ask Nami or watch One Piece herself. It would be better to confess and hope for leniency. To Xiaoqi's surprise, Zhu Zhuqing didn't get angry after hearing this, nor did she start to strangle him like she used to. Instead, she looked at her calmly and asked, "Then why didn't you come to see me last night?" Xiaoqi was speechless. How could he respond? He couldn't possibly tell Zhu Zhuqing that he had the urge to do something lewd last night. That would be too embarrassing. Seeing her embarrassed, Zhu Zhuqing continued, "Xiaoqi, do you like me? You can only answer yes or no." Nami and Linglong's previous words had enlightened her. If she continued to dither like this, even if they didn't argue with her, what if a girl more beautiful than them showed up in the chat group? So, having figured it out, she laid it all out, blocking their escape route. She wanted a result today. "Zhuqing, Xiaoqi looked at Zhu Zhuqing before him, his mind recollecting all the memories of their time together. Finally, he nodded and said, "I like you." However, Xiaoqi also shared his concerns with her. He was worried that after the Shrek Academy storyline mission was over, they wouldn't be able to see each other as often as they did now. He felt that this would be unfair to Zhu Zhuqing. "So, is that why you're deliberately suppressing your feelings for me?" Zhu Zhuqing smiled, a beautiful smile. She had heard the answer she had wanted most, and the other person's concerns were exactly the same as hers. Did this prove that Xiaoqi wasn't the kind of irresponsible man? Otherwise, he could have taken possession of her body first. Also, Xiaoqi noticed the word in Zhu Zhuqing's words and looked at her. "Zhuqing, you wouldn't." "I've thought about that, but it's only temporary." Or, Zhu Zhuqing narrowed her eyes and looked directly at her. "Will you follow some of those scumbags and abandon me in the future?" "No way, I'm not like that." Xiaoqi reassured, patting his chest. He had never dreamed of a beauty like Zhu Zhuqing before. Even if he got kicked in the head by a donkey, he wouldn't try to be a fool like Daimyo. Zhu Zhuqing took her hand and smiled. I believe you, Xiaoqi chuckled, then squeezed Zhu Zhuqing's hand tightly. This time, holding hands was different from the usual show, it signified their true connection. However, just as they were enjoying their affectionate embrace, Sakata Gintoki's untimely voice interrupted their mood. Xiaoqi, Jin-sang feels like he's dying. Come and help Jin-sang see if his golden balls are still responding. Zhu Zhuqing's face suddenly turned red. She almost forgot that there were other people here. She looked at Xiaoqi shyly and said, you go play with Jin-sang and Sakuragi. I'm going to find Nami and Linglong. Xiaoqi was almost furious when she saw Zhu Zhuqing running away. He was just about to take this opportunity to confess his first kiss, but Sakata Gintoki spoke at this time and used such vulgar words. It was obvious that he couldn't stand seeing him eat meat. Xiaoqi, filled with resentment, approached Sakata Gintoki and said through gritted teeth, Jin-san, your golden testicles are probably gone. I'll help you with a vasectomy now to save you from future pain. Hearing this, Sakata Gintoki stood up, waving his arms as he stepped back, saying, Jin-san, I suddenly feel like I can still be saved. Sakuragi, catch him. Today, we'll make Jin-san a silver, okay, big brother? No. You two, don't come over here. When everyone returned to Kokoja village, they were warmly welcomed. The entire village had now learned from Nikiko and Ken that the Arlong group had been slain. Nami, thank you for all your hard work over the years. We've seen everything you've done. Hearing this, Nami burst into tears. Although she had seen this scene in the manga, seeing it and experiencing it firsthand were two completely different feelings. Nami distributed all the money she'd looted from Arlong and the bounty she'd just exchanged for it to the villagers of Kokoja village, even giving away none of the savings she'd accumulated over the years to exchange for the money she'd earned from Arlong. Knowing Xiaoqi and the others would be leaving that evening, the villagers of Kokoja immediately began preparing a banquet for them, hoping to express their gratitude. At the banquet, Sakata Gintoki and Sakuragi Hanamichi ate and drank like starving ghosts, their manners even uglier than that of a Saiyan like him. Linglong sat and chatted happily with the villagers. Xiaoqi looked at the gloomy Nami beside her and smiled. I wonder if you have to be so ruthless? I saw you were so generous when you took it out just now. Nami grimaced. That's nearly 200 million berries. Do you know how hard it's been for me to save just 100 million berries? Xiaoqi smiled, knowing Nami's life had been tough these past few years, risking her life almost daily for money. By the way, I've been wanting to ask you, do you know Karina? Karina appears in the One Piece movie, and Xiaoqi is curious whether the movie's plot is set in the original world or a parallel universe. Nami, who hadn't heard the name in a while, glanced back and forth between Xiaoqi and Zhu Zhuqing before saying, You're not in love with that vixen Karina, are you? Zhu Zhuqing's eyes immediately turned cold, and she placed her hand on Xiaoqi's waist and said coldly, Tell me, who is Karina? Xiaoqi, frightened and sweating, quickly began to explain to the two of them. Haha, why didn't you tell me earlier? I thought you liked her type. Nami laughed, knowing that she had misunderstood, and then continued, I miss her a little bit, and hope to meet her soon on the sea. Nami blinked at Xiaoqi when she said this, and asked mischievously, Xiaoqi, who do you think is prettier between me and Kalina? Xiaoqi replied immediately, My Zhuqing is the prettiest. What a joke. He still wanted to stump him with such a question. No matter whether he answered Nami or Kalina just now, he would inevitably be taught a lesson by Zhu Zhuqing when he returned. He would not be fooled by Nami. However, Nami was no pushover, and she looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, Sister Zhuqing, based on my many years of experience in stealing, this kind of man is the most dangerous. If he had answered either me or Kalina just now, this would be what a normal person should do, but he chose to answer you. You can imagine that if he lies to you in the future, he won't even blink an eye. Damn, Xiaoqi was anxious. Is Nami's level so high? She has never shown any talent in this area in the original book. Zhuqing, go to Linglong first. Nami and I will tell you some secrets about Luffy. After Xiaoqi sent Zhu Zhuqing away, she looked at Nami and said, After all, I helped you kill the dragon and the rat, and you are going to trick me like this? Nami smiled and said, You can't have forgotten the last time you scolded me in the group so quickly. We women are very vindictive, I see. Xiaoqi nodded and said, "So there's nothing to talk about between us." Nami made a gesture of counting money and said with a smile, "It depends on how sincere you are. I'm leaving first. You can think about it slowly, my hero." Chapter 44 Newcomers. I'm so tired. Returning to Dalo continent, Xiaoqi stretched lazily. She had truly experienced the hospitality of the people of Kokoja village. If she hadn't said she had something to do and had to leave early with Zhu Zhuqing, they would have been forced to drink. Zhu Zhuqing, observing her tired appearance, said with concern, "Would you like to go to bed early?" Xiaoqi smiled and said, "Let's go find Rongrong and ask her what happened today." Rongrong, hearing Xiaoqi's voice, quickly opened the door and excitedly said, "Xiaoqi, Zhuqing, you're finally back. Come in." She had spent the entire day in constant fear, fearing these two would abandon her and walk away. Seeing them back was incredibly gratifying. "Rongrong, did anything happen when you went to Shrek Academy today?" Rongrong smiled at Xiaoqi's question, but then a grimace set in as she recounted the day's events. Having lost all his money, Flanders' face was incredibly grim, and his mood was incredibly bleak. Upon seeing Rongrong arrive at the academy, he immediately approached her to ask where Xiaoqi was. Rongrong had given Flanders the excuse Xiaoqi had prepared. Upon hearing that someone from Zhu Zhuqing's family had come, Flanders remained silent, simply asking them to return to school as soon as they were done. Daimyo Bei, on the other hand, was visibly nervous upon learning about this. He repeatedly asked Rongrong if she knew who had come from Zhu Zhuqing's family and if anyone else had come with him. Naturally, Rongrong wasn't exactly friendly with Daimyo Bei, and dismissed him with the excuse that she didn't know anything. Today's class was simple, just like in the original novel. They were eating sausages made by Oscar. Rongrong had initially refused to eat, but Flanders' remarked that these were Xiaoqi's favorite sausages convinced her to finally eat them. "By the way, Flanders asked me to tell you that they're going to the Starred Out Great Forest in 2 days to help Oscar obtain his 3rd spirit ring. If you can make it back in time, come with us." 2 days later, Xiaoqi frowned. The original novel said they were supposed to leave tomorrow, but it seemed their relationship had caused the timeline to change. The Titan Ape would definitely appear, but Tang San's 8 spider lances and Meng Yiren weren't sure if they'd ever meet again. These were all valuable points for him. Now that he was with Zhu Zhuqing, he had to earn more points to participate in the lottery. Once he'd plundered all the Dalo continent's treasures, he'd let Zhu Zhuqing live in his world. Rongrong looked at Xiaoqi nervously and asked, "You won't have anything else to do in 2 days, will you?" "If you're not going, then neither will I. What's my business if Oscar goes to obtain a spirit ring?" Xiaoqi smiled. "Of course we have to go. Not only do we have to go, but we also have to leave them with some happy memories." The three chatted for a while before Xiaoqi and Zhu Zhuqing returned to their rooms. After Xiaoqi put on all the weights, she looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, "Zhuqing, I'm going back today. I won't come tomorrow if there's no plot." Zhu Zhuqing looked into Xiaoqi's eyes and said word by word, "Do you want to abandon me?" No wonder Zhu Zhuqing would have wild thoughts. The two of them had just settled their relationship today, but this guy not only didn't seize the time to get close to her, but didn't want to see her anymore. This made her start to believe what Nami had said before. "What are you thinking about?" Xiaoqi stroked her hair and smiled. "I need to make some preparations for our trip to the Starred Out Great Forest in 2 days. Also," Xiaoqi leaned close to Zhu Zhuqing's ear and whispered, "Next time I come, I'll bring a few extra changes of clothes. We can live together for a while and prepare for the future." Zhu Zhuqing's ears instantly turned red. She lowered her head shyly and said, "Even if we live together, I won't sleep with you. Don't listen to Nami's nonsense. You're tired today. Go to bed early." Xiaoqi gave Zhu Zhuqing a quick kiss on the cheek and then returned to her own world. Zhu Zhuqing touched the spot on her face where Xiaoqi had kissed her and smiled happily. "Daimyo Bei, for Xiaoqi, I will sever all ties with you." Thinking of her engagement to Daimyo Bei, Zhu Zhuqing's face instantly turned cold. She would find an opportunity to personally end his life in 2 days in the Starred Out Great Forest. Elsewhere, Xiaoqi, who hadn't returned to his own world for 2 days, was bathing and humming a happy tune. He had finally shed the label of single dog and now had a girlfriend. Lying in bed, Xiaoqi began to plan how to kill Daimyo Bei. Killing him wasn't difficult, the hard part was keeping him from being discovered. He didn't want to bet that if Daimyo's death were discovered, the Shrek Academy storyline quest would end prematurely. Furthermore, while Daimyo's death would have a slight impact on the Dalo continent plot, it wouldn't completely destabilize the main storyline. As long as Tang San lived, Zhu Zhuqing had a chance to trigger the storyline quest. However, he and Tang San were destined to be friends. His naming of Zhu Zhuqing had already angered Xiao Wu, and when Yu Xiaogang arrived at Shrek Academy, he would undoubtedly confront him. At that point, Tang San would undoubtedly label him a recipe for death. Su Xiaoqi had already made up her mind. Once their feud was complete, she would tell Tang San and Xiao Wu, "You've already got a recipe for death, forget it, I'll think about it tomorrow." Just as Su Xiaoqi opened the chat group and was about to say goodnight to Zhu Zhuqing, two familiar voices rang in her mind. Ding. Kuroba Kato has joined the chat group. Ding. Tokisaki Kirumi has joined the chat group. Oh my god, this. Su Xiaoqi looked at the two new members and instantly lost all her sleepiness. Why should she sleep? They were already so excited. Linglong, hey, there's a new person here, Nami. I wonder what kind of person this time is. At Su Xiaoqi, do you know, Sakata Gintoki, why don't you ask Jin-san? Linglong, aren't you drunk? Sakata Gintoki, you're kidding? Jin-san isn't Sakuragi. Jin-san can drink a lot, and his excretion function is also very healthy. Nami, speak humanly, do you recognize these two? Sakata Gintoki, at Kuroba Kato, Kitsama, Jin-san wants to learn your disguise, voice changing, and escape techniques, so that he can eat without paying any more. Sakata Gintoki, if possible, Jin-san would also like to learn stealing from you. Jin-san, I want to become the great thief of Edo. Nami, so, this Kuroba Kato is a thief like me? Sakata Gintoki, no, his stealing skills are completely different from yours. It's like the difference between an earthling and a Saiyan. Linglong, oh my god. Is she that amazing? And what about Tokisaki Kirumi? Zhu Zhuqing, I know this person. Zhu Zhuqing, inside the room, looked at the Tokisaki Kirumi figurine in front of her with a complicated expression. Comparing the portraits, they found a 99.99% resemblance. Su Xiaoqi, I'll fight you till old age, Tokisaki Kirumi, forever. Zhu Zhuqing? Linglong? Nami? Sakata Gintoki, oh no. Su Xiaoqi is having an affair. Takakio, Jin-san can accept any service. As long as the points are in place, he can destroy all Super Saiyans. Thanks to book friend Chaoshin Kishin for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend 20221106122241070 for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend 20181215000157290 for the monthly ticket. Chapter 45, I will fight with you till old age, Tokisaki Kirumi, forever. Nami, at Zhu Zhuqing, what did I say before? It's not even a day, and you've already changed your mind so quickly. Linglong, but forget it, I can't defend you. Sakata Gintoki, Nami-chan, Linglong-chan, now you know how good Jin-san is. Although Jin-san may seem a bit fickle, you only see the surface. Jin-san is actually very loyal. Su Xiaoqi, at Sakata Gintoki, at Nami, you two are indeed quite a good match in some ways. Sakata Gintoki, even if you praise Jin-san so much, Jin-san won't help you. It's your fault for stepping on his golden balls. Nami, I'm wrong too. I don't think they're a good match. At Zhu Zhuqing, I suggest you interrogate him immediately. Zhu Zhuqing, I believe him. If he really had feelings for Tokisaki Kirumi, he wouldn't have left her figurine with me. Su Xiaoqi, look, how can the gap between people be so big? At Nami, flip the table, there's nothing to talk about between us. Nami, okay, you said it. Su Xiaoqi, you'll regret it. Su Xiaoqi, do you think I'm Saratobi Hirozen or are you Danzo? We'll see. Tokisaki Kirumi, oh, so that's how you send messages. Tokisaki Kirumi, hello everyone, Tokisaki Kirumi, at Su Xiaoqi, darling, I finally found you. Su Xiaoqi, Sakata Gintoki, Linglong, oh, Nami, Zhuqing's sister, how can you tolerate this? Your love rival has come to provoke you. Zhu Zhuqing, at Su Xiaoqi, you have to come here right now. Su Xiaoqi, at Tokisaki Kirumi, I'll give you a minute to explain everything. I know the identity of the original Pokemon. Su Xiaoqi, and the rest of you too. Do you know Takesaki Kurumi? Do you know her personality? Let me tell you, don't be fooled by her harmless appearance. She's killed at least 8,000 humans. Takesaki Kurumi, oh, Mr. Suzuki really understands me. I'm so sorry for causing you trouble just now. It was Miss Nami who asked me to do this. Nami, at Takesaki Kurumi, I'm warning you, don't talk nonsense here. Even if you've killed so many people, I'm not afraid of you. I have Suzuki, the Saiyan, to protect me. Suzuki, excuse me, who are you? We're not familiar with each other. Sakata Gintoki, don't be afraid, Nami-chan. Jin-san will protect you. I don't believe such a cute girl would kill so many people. Nami, can you beat her? Takesaki Kurumi, Mr. Sakata Gintoki, you're right. I haven't personally killed so many people. Sakata Gintoki, see, Jin-san knew Suzuki was lying. How could such a lovely girl do such a cruel thing? Takesaki Kurumi, I just ate these humans. Sakata Gintoki, what? Eat humans? Jin-san suddenly feels like he's had a few too many drinks today. Did Jin-san just talk in his sleep? Linglong, could she be the legendary vampire? No, we girls are most afraid of that kind of thing. Nami, at Suzuki, woo, save me. Zhu Zhuqing, Xiaoqi, is she telling the truth? Suzuki, yes, she's right. But the human eating she's talking about isn't what you imagine. She simply used her ability to drag these humans into her shadow and devour them. Takesaki Kurumi, Alice, you really do understand me well. So, can you tell me about the original spirits? In return, I can be your girlfriend. Zhu Zhuqing, stay away from Xiaoqi. He already has a girlfriend like me. Zhu Zhuqing threw Takesaki Kurumi's figurine to the ground. She hadn't expected this seemingly quiet and cute girl to be such a murderous female demon. Even more hateful was that she was now trying to steal her, Suzuki. Suzuki, at Takesaki Kurumi, I'm sorry, my Zhuqing told me not to play with you. As for what I said at the beginning, it was just a joke among netizens. Suzuki, as for the initial Pokemon's identity, you're probably no match for her right now. Knowing it wouldn't mean much to you. Besides, everyone in the group is a little afraid of you. I'll tell you when you've gained the others' recognition. Takesaki Kurumi, so, I guess I have to work hard at Zhu Zhuqing. This lovely lady, your boyfriend is really good. Zhu Zhuqing, I know how good he is. You don't need to worry about him, Sakata Gintoki, at Takesaki Kurumi. This lovely lady, Jin-san is actually not bad either. Do you want to get to know me, Takesaki Kurumi? Oh, I'm so sorry, I don't really like men with white hair, Sakata Gintoki. Damn it, how big of a prejudice do you have against men with white hair? Jin-san is going to dye his hair tomorrow, Suzuki. You can also wear a wig, Sakata Gintoki. It's not a wig, it's katsura, Suzuki. Ha, and you said you and the wig aren't true love, Sakata Gintoki. How can I fix that, Kuroba Kato? You guys are really noisy. When that thing suddenly appeared just now, I almost got caught by those policemen, Sakata Gintoki. Kitsama, look here, Jin-san, I'm your little fanboy. Are you still going to accept a disciple, Kuroba Kato? Jin-san, can I call you that, Sakata Gintoki? Of course, Jin-san, I'm the easiest to talk to, Kuroba Kato. I think, with your white hair, you might not be suitable for being a thief, Sakata Gintoki. Hey, enough of you. You don't have to bully Jin-san like this. What does hair color have to do with being a thief? You yourself always wear a conspicuous white coat when you go stealing, Suzuki. Ha, at Kuroba Kato. Well done, Kuroba Kato. Thank you very much. I wonder if this guy knows anything about me, Suzuki. I know a little bit. The mysterious organization you're looking for uses animals as code names, and their goal is to find the mysterious stone of life Pandora to achieve immortality, Suzuki. You can watch Magic Kato and Detective Conan for details, Kuroba Kato. That's enough. Thank you very much. You can come to me for help if you need anything in the future. Suzuki, you're welcome, everyone. I'm going to sleep first. Good night. Zhu Zhuqing, good night. Don't chat with Takesaki Kurumi anymore. Suzuki, okay. After closing the chat group, Suzuki smiled. He hadn't expected Zhu Zhuqing to have such a feminine side, but he also quite liked the feeling of being cared for. So, as I said, Daimube must die. No one can save him. Chapter 46 What must be said between Kurobe Kato and Kudo Shinichi. The next morning, Xiaoqi woke up and said good morning to Zhu Zhuqing. After chatting for a while, they began their morning exercise. He had earned the highest points in the Kokoja village story mission yesterday, 7,000 points, while Sakuragi Hanamichi had the lowest, 1,000 points. Xiaoqi sent Zhu Zhuqing a red envelope of 10,000 points, planning to do a 100-point streak once they had 50,000 points. Jogging along the street, Xiaoqi suddenly became thoughtful. He hadn't visited any other cities since arriving in this deserted world. He hadn't been able to fly before, but now that was different. So, Xiaoqi decided to practice for half a day and spend the other half flying to other cities to explore and gather any supplies he needed. In the afternoon, while flying over a forest, Xiaoqi asked the other group members to try to send him something using the group chat's red envelope feature. Everyone else said they would give it a try, except for Sakata Gintoki, whose thinking was different from the norm. Sakata Gintoki, has Zhuqing's sister no longer been able to satisfy you, making you so horny you've started taking advantage of those adorable little animals? Jin-san, I really misjudged you. Xiaoqi couldn't understand how Gintoki could take on someone else's feelings. He truly had no boundaries, didn't he? After repeated attempts by the group members all failed, they concluded that living things couldn't be sent via red envelopes, though plant seeds could be. However, Xiaoqi didn't know how to farm and didn't have the time, so planting would have to wait until she had some free time. Meanwhile, far away in Galuo continent, Zhu Zhuqing felt something was missing in everything she did that day. No matter what Ningrongrong said to her, she simply brushed it off with a few perfunctory words. That evening, alone in her room, she could no longer suppress her longing for Xiaoqi. She missed her. After reading Zhu Zhuqing's message, Xiaoqi packed everything he needed for tomorrow's trip to the starred-out Great Forest, grabbed a few clothes, and headed to Galuo continent. He missed Zhu Zhuqing, too. However, when Xiaoqi appeared in Zhu Zhuqing's room and saw the corpse of Takesaki Kurumi's figurine scattered across the floor, his eyes twitched. He had reason to suspect Zhu Zhuqing had deliberately shown him this as a warning. What, are you heartbroken? Do you want me to put her back together? Xiaoqi dared not object, firmly stating that he wasn't familiar with Takesaki Kurumi, let alone heartbroken. He suddenly wondered if fear of one's wife was part of the Saiyan bloodline. Kakarot was like that, Son Gohan was like that, and even Vegeta, in his later years, was completely subservient to Bulma. Zhu Zhuqing was very pleased with Xiaoqi's response and gave him a gentle kiss on the cheek. She had taken Nami's advice from yesterday to heart. Sister Zhuqing, you have to remember that when dealing with men, you can't spoil them too much, and you can't let them get you too quickly. Just give them a little sweet treat occasionally, and that's how you can keep it going. At this moment, Nami frantically tagged Xiaoqi in the chat group. Nami, at Xiaoqi, get out of here. Linglong, what's wrong with you guys again? Takesaki Kurumi, is it possible that Mr. Xiaoqi did something bad to Miss Nami? Zhu Zhuqing, you woman, shut up. Sakata Gintoki, what the hell? At Xiaoqi, you bastard. What the hell did you do to my Nami-chan? Xiaoqi, what are you doing? You're making such a fuss, Nami, you still have the nerve to ask me what I'm doing? Ha, you know exactly what you did to me yesterday, Sakata Gintoki, Kikexu, you actually did it to Nami-chan, why didn't you call Jin-san? No, what did you do to her, Nami? At Sakata Gintoki, you should shut up too. This matter is now related to you, Sakata Gintoki, Nami-chan, you can't wrongly accuse Jin-san. Jin-san didn't do anything yesterday. Even when he was sleeping, he was thinking about Linglong. Linglong, thank you so much. Please don't think about me when you sleep in the future, Kurobe Kato. So what happened? Xiaoqi, spreading hands JPG, Nami, pretend, keep pretending. You were the only one who went to the Navy yesterday. Now, Baimeo and I are wanted by the Navy. Who else could have done this if not you? Sakata Gintoki, Linglong, wait, even if you two are wanted, the Navy still needs evidence. Nami, you have to ask that bastard about that. Xiaoqi, oh, so that's what you're talking about. I just told the Navy a story, and I didn't expect them to actually believe it. But isn't this a good thing? Now the Navy won't be blaming your Kokoja village for Rat's death. Yesterday, while disguising himself as a bounty hunter to redeem his bounty, Xiaoqi informed the Navy that their Captain Rat had been attacked by a pirate group called Yorizuaya. He then sketched out rough portraits of Nami and Sakata Gintoki and handed them to the Navy. Initially, the 16th Branch's Navy ignored his words until their Captain Rat completely lost contact with him. They then took the sketches seriously and quickly recovered them. However, without the names or information of the two individuals, and without any conclusive evidence linking them to Captain Rat's disappearance, the 16th Branch simply considered Nami and Sakata Gintoki as suspected killers and spread the news among naval bases in the East China Sea, without issuing a formal wanted order. As luck would have it, Nami and Luffy encountered a naval vessel today after sailing out to sea. Seeing that Nami resembled the one in the photo, the other side wanted to capture her for questioning. That's how Nami learned about this, and she immediately thought of Xiaoqi, convinced he must have done it. Linglong, that makes sense. Sakata Gintoki, at Xiaoqi, Jin-san can only say you did a great job. Now, Jin-san, and Nami-chan are firmly tied together. Xiaoqi, I just did a good deed without leaving my name, and now I'm being wrongly accused. Sigh, it's so hard to be a good person. Nami, I don't believe you. If you really want to make up a story, why not someone else? Why did you have to tie me to the white-haired man? And most importantly, you drew my portrait so ugly. Xiaoqi, Nami, although you haven't been officially wanted, you are one step ahead of Luffy now. You will have another point credited to your account at midnight. Nami, even if you say so, I will not forgive you. Just wait. Kuroba Kato, at Xiaoqi, I have prepared what you want and will send it to you now. Xiaoqi, thank you. By the way, I have a question for you on behalf of the majority of netizens. Kuroba Kato, ask it yourself. Xiaoqi, are you and Kuro Shinichi half-brothers or half-brothers with the same father or mother? Kuroba Kato, I am me and he is him. There is no blood relationship between him and me. We just look alike, you bastard. Ha ha ha. Xiaoqi laughed so hard that her stomach hurt at the sight of Heiyu, almost breaking through his defense. Zhu Zhuqing, who was standing beside her, rolled her eyes and said, I'm going to bed. You can have fun by yourself. Hearing this, Xiaoqi instantly perked up and caught up with him, saying, I think it's getting late too. Let's sleep together. Zhu Zhuqing gently pushed Xiaoqi out of the door, looked at her and smiled, you should sleep outside. Good night. Xiaoqi looked at the door that Zhu Zhuqing had locked, wanting to cry. Why? When they were not a couple, she left a crack for him, but now that they are a couple, she is on guard against him. Is this some special way to play in the world of Dalu Dalu? Thanks to my book friend Yangwang Fantasy for the monthly ticket. Chapter 47. Daimyubei's brains are full, but not much. Early that morning, as Xiaoqi and the other two were on their way to Shrek Academy, Ningrongrong looked at them excitedly and said, Xiaoqi, I feel like my marksmanship has improved over the past 2 days. Do you want me to shoot for you? Xiaoqi yawned and said, we'll talk about it next time. Use those bullets sparingly. I don't have many left. He hadn't been able to sleep the previous night. He had been waiting for Zhu Zhuqing to change her mind, open the door, and let him in, but he waited until the middle of the night and didn't see a single shot. Ningrongrong smiled and said, don't worry, I'll use it sparingly. It's my treasure. When the three of them arrived at the Shrek Academy playground, Zhao Wuji and several other Shrek students were already waiting for them. When Daimyubei saw Xiaoqi coming, he greeted her with a smile and said, Brother Xiaoqi, there may have been some misunderstandings between us before. I would like to apologize to you personally here. This trip to the starred out Great Forest requires our cooperation. Huh? Daimyubei's move surprised not only Xiaoqi, but also everyone else present. Did these two have a grudge against each other for stealing his wife? Why are they on such a good relationship now? Zhao Wuji was stunned for a few seconds before bursting into laughter. Mubei is right. This trip to the starred out Great Forest will be extremely dangerous. Regardless of any misunderstandings you may have had, for the sake of your lives, you must maintain a strong sense of teamwork. Mubei, you'll lead the team this time. Daimyubei smiled and nodded. He assigned everyone as he did in the original novel, then looked at Xiaoqi and said, Brother Xiaoqi, your situation is a little special. You can move freely along the way. We'll make arrangements once we reach the starred out Great Forest, okay? Xiaoqi replied calmly. He was eager to see what tricks Daimyubei had in store. He considered the run to the starred out Great Forest a part of his training, not to mention Oscar's sausages to keep him going. Xiaoqi, I'm really exhausted. Can you eat less? Oscar was practically in tears. The others only asked for one sausage an hour, but Xiaoqi was different. He always had to eat several people's worth. He was practically drained. Xiaoqi was also helpless. Physical exhaustion was a minor issue, but he was starving. Leaving him without food for hours would be worse than killing him. Xiaoqi, I'll give you mine. I can still hold on. Xiaoqi, I'll give you mine too. Zhu Zhuqing and Linglong offered theirs to Xiaoqi. Zhu Zhuqing had already eaten sausages during Flanders class yesterday, so she wasn't so opposed to them. As Xiaoqi always told her, food is innocent, but wasting food is bad. Xiaoqi didn't argue with them and simply took the sausage from their hands and began to eat. He was truly hungry. Waste is waste, Daimyo sneered at the scene. On this trip to the starred-out Great Forest, he was going to humiliate Xiaoqi in front of everyone. If he could kill her, even better. When they arrived in a small town, Zhao Wuji asked them to find a hotel to rest for the night, but he openly and covertly blamed Xiaoqi for everything. Xiaoqi didn't care about it at all. The hotel they were in now was the same hotel where the conflict between Shrek Academy and Kanghu Academy occurred in the original novel. He didn't know whether he would run into the other party again this time. At the dinner table, Daimyo said generously, "My fellow juniors, I'll treat you to dinner today, as a welcome treat. Boss Dai, you're so generous." Mo Hongjin flattered him at the right time, and then shouted, "Waiter, take your order. Waiter, serve all the dishes you have first." Xiaoqi's voice and Ma Hongjin's voice sounded at the same time. Ma Hongjin was stunned for a moment, looked at Xiaoqi and said, "Hey, Xiaoqi, even if it's Boss Dai's treat, you don't have to rip him off like this." Daimyo smiled and said without any concern, "It's okay. Since brother Xiaoqi can eat, let him eat more. This small amount of money is nothing." Xiaoqi, who was hungry, didn't have the energy to argue with the other party, but Zhu Zhuqing beside him would not indulge them. She pulled Xiaoqi to stand up and said, "Let's go to the next table to eat." "Seeing some people's faces makes me sick," Linglong stood up and echoed, "That's right. We in the Seven Treasures glazed tile sect have not fallen to the point where we need others to treat us to a meal. What's so great about being a gigolo?" Ma Hongjin muttered quietly. Zhao Wuji, who was on the second floor, witnessed everything that happened here. He looked at Xiaoqi with an icy gaze, knowing full well that as long as this person stayed at Shrek Academy, these people would never truly unite. Zhu Zhuqing poked Xiaoqi, who was slumped over the table, and said with a smile, "Xiaoqi, look over there." Xiaoqi looked up and saw a group from Kanghu Academy entering, led by the teacher who was none other than Yi Zikyu. Worldline correction, the phrase suddenly popped into Xiaoqi's mind. Although they arrived a day later than in the original novel, they still encountered Kanghu Academy. Would Meng Yiren do the same? Daimyo and Ma Hongjin, those two idiots, would later have a conflict with Kanghu Academy, just as in the original novel, but none of this had anything to do with Xiaoqi. He was currently busy working hard to earn a living. Linglong also ignored Daimyo and the others who were now engaged in a fight with Kanghu Academy. She looked at Xiaoqi, who was devouring her food, and asked curiously, "Xiaoqi, sometimes I'm really curious about how your body is constructed. I'm hungry right now, but seeing you eat makes me feel full." Xiaoqi didn't have time to answer Linglong. Nothing, not even the destruction of the earth, could stop him from eating. Linglong looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, "Zhuqing, Xiaoqi is such a voracious eater. What will you two do when you get married? Would you consider joining our Seven Treasures glazed tile sect?" Zhu Zhuqing automatically ignored Linglong's last sentence, but her first half reminded her. The image of Kiki suddenly surfaced in her mind. She was also a martial artist, but since marrying Kakarot, she had become a full-time housewife, constantly worrying about the daily necessities of life. Over time, her temper had become increasingly irritable. "Will I end up like this in the future?" Zhu Zhuqing didn't mind doing this, she was just afraid that Xiaoqi would grow tired of her over time. After swallowing her food, Xiaoqi said, "Linglong, you're so nosy. Zhuqing won't have to worry about any of this when she marries me. She just needs to do what she loves." Zhu Zhuqing wiped her mouth with a handkerchief, then scoffed, "Who said I'm going to marry you? I'm so beautiful." Just then, a student from Kanghu Academy flew backwards towards Xiaoqi and Zhu Zhuqing. Xiaoqi stood up, swung her foot, and kicked him aside. Daimube waved his hand, looked at Xiaoqi apologetically, and said, "Sorry, my hand just slipped. I hope I didn't disturb your meal, but, Brother Xiaoqi, I'm not being harsh on you. Although Kanghu Academy is certainly a bit of a jerk, I was only giving them a little lesson. And yet, you kicked them so hard they're spitting blood. Wasn't that a bit too hard?" As Daimube finished his words, the Kanghu Academy student who had been sent flying by Xiaoqi spurted out a mouthful of blood. Xiaoqi laughed. "You said Daimube doesn't use his brains, and now he's playing dirty with you. But if you say he has brains, it's not much? What Xiaoqi needs most right now is real combat experience. Daimube is really just giving him a pillow when he's sleepy, showering him with free experience packs and a ton of points." Chapter 48 Nami's Lucky. I'm Yuzhikyu, Director of External Affairs at Kanghu College. May I ask, which sect are you from? Yuzhikyu looked at Xiaoqi. He could have ignored the previous minor incident, but now that a student had been beaten to the point of vomiting blood, the situation had completely changed. Alright, there's no point in asking these irrelevant questions. If you want revenge, let's do it outside so as not to disturb the others here and the boss's business, Xiaoqi said, and headed for the door. He didn't want to argue any further. They were going to fight anyway, so he might as well be direct. Xiaoqi's attitude made Yuzhikyu feel slighted. He snorted in anger and walked out. He had only intended to intimidate them. As long as they apologized and gave in, the matter would be over. After all, the strength displayed by this group was not formidable. He suspected they were from a larger faction. The shop owner was now filled with gratitude towards Xiaoqi and the others. If they really started a fight in his shop would be completely ruined today. Daimube looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said with a smile, "Zhuqing, if a fight breaks out later, we will help Xiaoqi." Zhu Zhuqing said coldly as she passed by him, "Daimube, put away your dirty thoughts and stop pretending here. It makes me want to vomit." Mo Hongjin waited until Zhu Zhuqing walked out the door, then came to Daimube and whispered, "Boss Dai, are we really going to help?" "I haven't eaten yet." Daimube looked at Tang San and said, "Tang San, what do you think about this?" Tang San pondered for a moment and said, "Let's go out and take a look." Although the current situation was caused by Xiaoqi, he came from Shrek Academy with us after all, and Teacher Zhao should be there watching us. Daimube smiled and said, "I thought so too. We can't really just watch him die." Daimube had already made up his mind. After Xiaoqi was beaten half to death, he would pretend to save her. That way, no one would find fault. On the contrary, they would all say Daimube was magnanimous. Outside the hotel, Xiaoqi stretched her arms and legs, looked across at Yuzhikyu, and said, "Begin." Yuzhikyu snorted coldly, "Boy, since you're so ignorant, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your master, Black Turtle. Possess." As Yuzhikyu finished his words, 5 spirit rings, 1 white, 2 yellow, and 2 purple, appeared at his feet. This scene was witnessed by the others who arrived a step later. "I didn't expect he's actually a spirit king." Tang San, Daimube, Ma Hongjin, Oscar, and Xiao Wu were startled. The next moment, Daimube began to gloat. He didn't believe Xiaoqi could defeat a spirit king who had already awakened his martial spirit. To this day, he still believed that Xiaoqi's ability to hold her own against Zhao Wuji and send him flying with one punch was due to luck and his own carelessness. However, what followed left Daimube and the 4 people standing beside him dumbfounded, unable to believe what they were witnessing. "Impossible, this can't be real. Isn't he just an ordinary person? How could he be so powerful?" "Third brother, when did an ordinary person ever become a soul king? I must be dreaming." Not only Daimube and the others, but even Zhao Wuji, observing from the shadows, was horrified. The strength Xiaoqi displayed now was completely different from the one she'd fought him on the first day of school. It was like a completely different person. "Who the hell is this kid? Guess I'll have to warn Mube later." Zhao Wuji had indeed been deceived by Daimube's appearance at first, but after what had just happened at Kanghu Academy, he had already discerned his true intentions. Meanwhile, after a few rounds of fighting with Yuzhikyu, Xiaoqi felt a bit bored. The experience packs Yuzhikyu had given him were too little of a boost. Yuzhikyu's turtle spirit's nature only allowed him to stand still and serve as a punching bag. His few offensive skills seemed incredibly slow, even with the weights he was wearing. After sending Zhu Zhuqing flying with a single punch, Zhu Zhuqing walked over to Zhu Zhuqing and Linglong and said, "That's boring. Let's go back to the hotel, okay?" Zhu Zhuqing smiled and nodded. Linglong asked, "Are you just going to let that turtle go?" Zhu Zhuqing looked at Linglong angrily and said, "What else? He and I have no grudges. He was just bewitched by some idiot." Zhu Zhuqing didn't lower her voice. Daimyo's face was as grim as it could be, but he didn't react. Just then, Zhao Wuji's voice rang out from the side. "Why are you all here so late at night? Why don't you go get some rest? Go back to bed." Zhu Zhuqing glanced at Zhao Wuji and then walked back into the hotel. Tonight, Zhu Zhuqing and Linglong shared a room, while Zhu Zhuqing, who had her own, was bored and could only chat in the group chat. Nami and Linglong were chatting about the plot of their respective worlds. Sakata Gintoki, as usual, occasionally made funny appearances while they were talking. As for the others, they remained silent. Zhu Zhuqing, at Nami, "You have quite a few points now. Why don't you try the lottery, Nami? Don't try to fool me. You have far more points than I do. Why don't you just try it yourself?" Zhu Zhuqing, "My points are all with Zhuqing. She's saving them for me. And I have a feeling you'll get something good today." Linglong, "I envy you people with so many points. I have to work hard too." Zhu Zhuqing, "Linglong, it's easy to earn points. There are so many techniques in your world. Just sell a few to the mall and you'll get points." Linglong, "You make it sound so simple. Do you think I haven't thought about it? The last time I tried to steal my grandfather's Tongshan talisman, he almost beat me to death." Zhu Zhuqing, could you please stop trying to get your grandfather's favor? That old lover of yours, you could even try to get hold of other sex techniques." Linglong, "What old lover? Zhang Yulin and I are just friends now, and he's a very cunning guy, so he's a tough one to deal with." Zhu Zhuqing, "You could consider seduction, he's the one that's always been there." Sakata Gintoki, "Damn, Jin-san disagrees. How could Linglong resort to such a despicable trick?" Zhu Zhuqing, "Then let her seduce you." Sakata Gintoki, "Sure, Jin-san agrees with this proposal." Linglong, at Zhu Zhuqing, "You messed with Nami and now you're messing with me, right? Let me tell you, I've seen a lot of things. If you push me too far, you'll be in trouble." Sundeer JPG, hint, "Congratulations to Nami for obtaining a certain scientific railgun ability card, the same as Misaka Mikado's." Hint, "Congratulations to Nami for obtaining a panty-stealing skill card, the same as Sato Kazuma's." Hint, "Congratulations to Nami for obtaining a gravity room." Hint, "Congratulations to Nami for obtaining a 30,000-year spirit ring of your choice, upgrade." Congratulations to Nami for obtaining a chakra refining card. Hint, "Congratulations to Nami for obtaining 666 points." Hint, "Congratulations to Nami for obtaining." Zhu Zhuqing, "Damn, this is crazy." Zhu Zhuqing, "Goddess Nami, I think we had a little misunderstanding before. Do you have time to talk about it?" Sakata Gintoki, "Nami-chan, can you give me that panty-stealing skill to Jin-san? Jin-san is willing to exchange the most precious thing he has kept for decades with you. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49 Nami, don't bully a poor girl. Zhu Zhuqing wanted to slap himself for such a bad mouth. He'd just been trying to trick Nami into a lottery, but who knew she'd actually won what he wanted most? Anyone who's read Dragon Ball knows that the gravity chamber is, besides the buggy spirit time chamber, the most important tool for Saiyans in their early stages of training. If he had the gravity chamber, he could significantly shorten the time it takes to become a Super Saiyan, but now it's in Nami's hands, someone he just tricked 2 days ago. Zhu Zhuqing could already see Nami using the gravity chamber to rip him off. Nami, oh, it seems like I accidentally won something someone really wants. What should I do? Zhu Zhuqing, Nami, name your price. As long as it's not too outrageous, I won't bargain. Nami, at Zhu Zhuqing, watch your words. Next time you talk to me, add those 4 words before you say them. Got it, Zhu Zhuqing, Nami, huh? Zhu Zhuqing, Goddess Nami, Nami, so good. Linglong, haha, does this count as being completely manipulated? Sakata Gintoki, Goddess Nami, Would you like to consider Jin-san's proposal just now, Nami? Rejected. In the room next to Xiaoqi, Zhu Zhuqing put on her clothes under Ningrongrong's puzzled gaze. Zhuqing, where are you going so late? After getting dressed, Zhu Zhuqing thought for a moment as she walked to the door and said, you don't have to wait for me tonight. I'll sleep at Xiaoqi's place. Ningrongrong looked at the closed door and muttered softly, is Zhuqing's need that great? You can't usually tell, Nami. At Xiaoqi, Xiaoqi, do you want my gravity house? If you do, I'll give it to you. Go out and look for it. I'll put it on the final island, Linglong. Ha ha ha. All I can say about this move is 666. Damn Nami. Inside the room, Xiaoqi was so angry at this classic quote from One Piece that his back teeth were almost broken. This Nami was just teasing him. Beside him, Zhu Zhuqing tried hard not to laugh. Why don't you also go to the lottery? I'll give you my points too. No, Xiaoqi decisively refused. Now it was no longer a question of the gravity room, but a game between her and Nami. Xiaoqi, at Nami, tell me, how can you sell it to me? This thing is completely useless to you, Nami. I watched an anime today, and there's a line in it that really fits my mood right now. Do you know what it is, Xiaoqi? How do I know which anime you're watching, Nami? That line is 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West. Don't bully a poor young girl, don't you think it makes sense, Xiaoqi? Bullshit, don't bully a poor young girl. It's clearly don't bully a poor young boy, Nami. That's about the same. It's not that I can't sell you the gravity room, it's just that it's really useless to me, and besides, Sisters Zhuqing and I are good sisters. But you have to agree to a few small requests. Xiaoqi, tell me first. Nami, I haven't thought of it yet. Anyway, you're going to the starred out Great Forest with Sisters Zhuqing these days, so you won't need it for now. I'll tell you when I think of it. Xiaoqi, sure. Hint, Nami sends a red envelope to Zhu Zhuqing. Nami, Sisters Zhuqing, this spirit ring is from your world. It's useless to me, so I'm giving it to you. Zhu Zhuqing, thank you, but I can't take it for nothing. I'll give you points. Nami, there's no need for us three sisters to be so polite. This gravity room alone will make me a lot of money. Just don't blame me for cheating your Xiaoqi when the time comes. Zhu Zhuqing, no, you deserve it. I thank you on behalf of Xiaoqi, Linglong. Tisk, 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 even a woman like me is a little jealous, Xiaoqi. Tisk, if you're envious, you can go find one. Nami, how do you talk to Sister Linglong? From now on, you have to call Linglong Goddess, okay? If you make Sister Linglong unhappy, forget about the gravity house. Xiaoqi, Linglong, at Nami, I love you. Sakata Gintoki, at Nami, I love you. Nami, at Sakata Gintoki, get out of here. I will never trade that indecent skill to anyone. Sakata Gintoki, why is it indecent? Since this skill exists, it has its meaning. How can you let such a magical skill be buried, Nami? It's a magical skill only for you stinky men. It shouldn't even exist for us women. I guess that man named Sato Kazuma is not much different from you. Nami, at Xiaoqi, quickly tell me about the functions of the other items, especially the railgun. I feel like it might be perfect for me. Damn it. Wait until I buy the gravity room and see how I'll screw her over. After spending nearly an hour explaining the railgun and the functions of chakra to Nami, Xiaoqi made up a random excuse and left the chat group. Zhu Zhuqing said with a smile, aren't you afraid that Nami will retaliate when she draws something she wants next time? I won't be able to help you then. I don't believe she can always be so lucky. Xiaoqi curled her lips, then looked at Zhu Zhuqing and said, Zhuqing, absorb that spirit ring now. You can switch to other skills when you have better ones later. Okay, what attribute do you think I should choose? Zhu Zhuqing nodded. As her power continued to grow, she gradually became less and less satisfied with the power system of Daluo continent. Xiaoqi thought for a moment and said, your speed is adequate now, but your attack power is still a bit lacking. I suggest you choose the strength attribute. I'll listen to you. Zhu Zhuqing absorbed the spirit ring very quickly. In the blink of an eye, a black spirit ring rose from under her feet. Xiaoqi, I'm level 34. Zhu Zhuqing couldn't help but feel a little excited at the rapid level increase. After all, this was something she hadn't imagined before joining the chat group. Zhuqing, I feel like you've grown a little taller and bigger after absorbing the spirit ring." Although Xiaoqi knew that spirit masters would experience physical changes after absorbing spirit rings of different ages, Zhu Zhuqing's current appearance seemed more like growth. "Pervert," Zhu Zhuqing cursed softly, her face flushing. Then, under Xiaoqi's surprised gaze, she laid down on the bed, covering herself tightly. "I'm going to sleep. Good night." Xiaoqi, having received the signal, wasn't foolish this time. She quickly slid into bed, embracing Zhu Zhuqing and saying, "Zhuqing, I promise to sleep with you tonight, just can you take off your leather jacket and pants first? I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable." Meanwhile, in the next room, Linglong, who had been leaning against the wall and listening for a long time, wondered, "Strange. How come these two people haven't made any noise?" Thanks to fellow book friend Youngson V for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow book friend 20181215000157290 for the monthly ticket. Thanks to fellow book friend Harushai Anzin for the reward and monthly ticket. This is the first time Xiao Shuang has received a reward in the tens of thousands since writing a book. Here, I sincerely thank every reader for their support. I know there are still many book lovers who like to read books silently. I hope you can continue to support me. At the same time, I also hope that this book can bring you some joy after your daily fatigue. Chapter 50, Meng Yiren dressed as a middle school girl. The next morning, Xiaoqi, still immersed in her sweet dreams, was awakened by Zhao Wuji's damned loud voice. He was truly reluctant to get out of bed. Zhu Zhuqing, watching Xiaoqi deliberately staying in bed, felt a mixture of anger and amusement. She grabbed her arm and said, "Get up now. Wasn't it enough that I held you all night last night?" She had been half-heartedly prepared to give in the night before, but Xiaoqi told her that he wouldn't take her precious virginity in such a place, and would only take her completely when there was a better opportunity. While the words sounded a bit crude, they were sweet to Zhu Zhuqing. Who said Saiyans don't understand romance? The only Saiyan who doesn't understand romance is Kakarot, the single-celled Saiyan. Xiaoqi and Zhu Zhuqing, arriving at the meeting point, were startled by Linglong's appearance. Xiaoqi whispered, "Rongrong, what's with those dark circles under your eyes? Did you go out and steal someone last night?" Linglong snorted coldly at Xiaoqi and Zhu Zhuqing. It was these two people who had caused her current situation. Having been unable to hear anything from next door last night, she had put in a lot of effort, leaning against the wall and listening for most of the night. Xiaoqi and Zhu Zhuqing exchanged a confused glance, and before they could ask further questions, Zhao Wuji ordered the departure for the starred-out Great Forest. After half a day of exhausting travel, they finally reached the entrance of the starred-out Great Forest. Zhao Wuji gave them a long list of precautions and had Oscar prepare a few sausages for each person before they entered the forest. With the exception of Xiaoqi, Zhu Zhuqing, and Xiao Wu, everyone else's expressions grew serious the moment they entered the forest. Before long, they encountered a group of 10-year-old spirit beasts. Everything unfolded just as it did in the original novel, with Tang San displaying his righteous side before everyone. Xiaoqi found Tang San's pompous words utterly ridiculous. He'd claimed the spirit beasts posed no threat and there was no need to kill them. But later on, he'd show no mercy when it came to killing spirit beasts, even going so far as to label all those he'd slain as evil, their deaths innocent. Come on. The relationship between spirit beasts and humans is essentially one of hunter-gatherer. Kill them if you want, and no one would think you're doing anything wrong. Yet, you insist on taking the moral high ground, waving the banner of so-called justice. It's ridiculous. After Zhao Wuji led the group to a relatively safe location and rested for half an hour, the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake appeared, just as Xiaoqi had predicted. Xiaoqi rushed forward without waiting for Zhao Wuji to make any plans. Yesterday's battle with Yizhikyu had left him feeling exhausted, and coupled with the pent-up anger he'd built up from last night's encounter with Zhu Zhuqing, he desperately needed to release some steam. Zhao Wuji was furious at Xiaoqi's reckless behavior, but for now, he could only suppress his rage and make the quickest arrangements. After displaying his knowledge in front of everyone, Tang San said, "Teacher Zhao, should we all join forces to subdue that phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake?" Before Zhao Wuji could reply, Zhu Zhuqing's icy voice echoed through the crowd, "No one is allowed to disturb Xiaoqi. He's having a blast right now." Linglong then cheered from the sidelines, "Xiaoqi, come on. Beat it, Teacher Zhao," Oscar fretted. Based on what Tang San had just said, this phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake was a perfect match for him, both in age and the spirit abilities it could offer him. He truly didn't want to miss out. Zhao Wuji knew this, but he didn't dare act rashly under the circumstances. Xiaoqi was indeed playing with the cockatiel, or more accurately, toying with it. With his brute strength, he could deliver a fatal blow at any moment. Unsure if he could snatch the cockatiel from Xiaoqi, Zhao Wuji ultimately shouted helplessly, "Xiaoqi, please leave this cockatiel to Oscar. I thank you on behalf of the academy." Meanwhile, Xiaoqi, somewhat tired of playing, was observing the surroundings from a tree. Now that the cockatiel had appeared, he suspected the snake lady and Meng Yiren would be there soon. That should be them. Xiaoqi, who noticed two figures rushing towards them from the front, shouted, "Oscar, I've eaten so many sausages of yours, so this snake is my return gift to you, take it." Oscar's face lit up when he heard that, and he shouted excitedly, "Thank you, you can have as many sausages as you want in the future." Xiao Wu looked at the phoenix-tailed coxcomb snake on the ground that was first beaten up by Xiaoqi and now knocked unconscious by Zhao Wuji, and said reluctantly, "Do you have to hunt soul beasts?" "Hey, what are you talking about? Soul masters and soul beasts are natural enemies. If soul masters don't kill soul beasts, are they waiting to be killed by soul beasts?" Xiaoqi turned her gaze to Tang San and deliberately asked, "My classmate, when you reach level 30, will you not hunt soul beasts and don't want their soul rings?" Tang San was speechless for a moment, and finally sighed softly, "Xiao Wu, the law of the jungle, this is the law of survival, but I promise you that I will never kill innocent soul beasts at will." Xiaoqi scoffed and said, "Classmate, I felt your words were inconsistent from the beginning. Could you explain to me what an innocent spirit beast is, or rather, what's the definition of innocent?" "Alright, this isn't something we can discuss here alone," Zhao Wuji intervened, then took out a dagger and handed it to Oscar, saying, "Before any further delays, proceed." Just as Oscar was about to strike, the snake woman who had arrived shouted, "Stop, that old woman really walks so slowly in her age?" Xiaoqi mentally complained. He had just been lecturing Tang San while also waiting for these two. With him around, Shrek Academy and the other side were locked in a feud. Although he had no grudge against the snake woman and Meng Yiren, he couldn't just sit there and watch them join Tang San's side when he knew the plot was unfolding. Xiaoqi had come to Daolo continent to stir up trouble, not to make friends. "Old woman, who the hell are you? What? You want to interfere when we kill a soul beast? You don't even care if we poop." Xiaoqi acted incredibly arrogant. Zhu Zhuqing, who was standing next to him, darkened her expression and whispered, "You can mess around, but don't imitate that white-haired guy." Across from him, Meng Yiren had never heard such vulgar language before and raged, "You little bastard, keep your mouth shut. Do you even know who my grandmother is?" Xiaoqi glanced at Meng Yiren. Many people online praised her beauty, but he personally couldn't appreciate her beauty at all. This wasn't some cosplay scene. What was with all the thick smoky makeup and hairlines on your face? Are you a middle school girl? Xiaoqi walked up to Zhao Wuji and looked at the two people opposite with disdain. "I don't care who your grandmother is. Do you know who this person next to me is? He is the infamous devil in the Soul Master world, Zhao Wuji, known as Akala. If you know what's good for you, get out of here right now and don't interfere with their soul ring absorption." End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.